combo time.
This is Monster Jam. Witness big air, two-wheel skills, backflips, and all-out racing. It's the only place to see the world's best drivers tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks, like Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Megalodon, and more. It's big-time fun for the whole family. Monster Jam, as big as it gets. Coming to PNC Arena July 27th and 28th. Brought to you by BKT Tires and Gray Clips. Visit monsterjam.com today.
We buy any car.
Why sell your car at WeBuyAnyCar.com? Because when you trade in, you're dealing with a dealer. And sure, they're interested in a good deal. For them, not for you. Come to WeBuyAnyCar.com instead. All we do is buy cars. You get in, get out, and get paid at a fair price. So don't take chances with a trade-in. Go to WeBuyAnyCar.com for a free online valuation.
Find out how much your car's worth at We Buy Any Car.
Your family is your legacy. Planning for a natural disaster will make sure you're all safe. Visit ready.gov/plan today for the tools and tips you need to protect that legacy. That's ready.gov/plan. A message brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Not to brag, but Progressive's Name Your Price tool is mankind's greatest tool ever. Even better than the wheel. Sure, without the wheel, we wouldn't have modern transportation or funny videos of dogs riding skateboards. But without the Name Your Price tool, we wouldn't have easy access to auto insurance options based on our budget. And, well, cars do need wheels. They also need insurance, and insurance never goes flat. Learn more about the greatest tool ever, the Name Your Price tool at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
He scores! What a comeback!
Visit GotBryan.com. That's GotBryan.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Already toasty midday with heat advisories in effect through the evening. The heat index peaking between 104 and 108. Scattered storms moving in out of the west after 2 or 3 p.m. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company. Where your comfort is their business, visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones currently up 215 points at 41,170.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I'm Tim Donnelly. Graham Hill producing the show. Just heard from Dennis on the Adam Gold Show, so Graham Hill stepping into our producer's chair. And Jack Drury stepping back into the lineup for the Carolina Hurricanes. Breaking news just moments ago. Jack Drury, this according to Elliot Friedman, the terms at least, the agreement coming from all over the place, including NHL Network. Jack Drury and Carolina have settled on a 2-year deal. For this upcoming year, he will make $1.775 million. For the following year, the 2025-2026 season, he'll make $1.675 million for an average annual value of $1.725 million. First of all, congratulations to the team. Congratulations to Jack Drury. These negotiations are bitter, right? You don't want to be a team who really likes Jack Drury having to argue against how good Jack Drury is to Jack Drury, or at least to his representation. So getting to a deal before arbitration, that's good. This is also good for the reason of the Canes need centers so desperately. Right now you're looking at the 4. We've already penciled Jack Drury in as the starter on the 4th center, but I mean, we're talking one move away from being much more important, right? Sebastian Aho is your first-team center. The way I look at it right now, Jesperi Kotkaniemi is a second-team center. Then you have Jordan Stahl on that Stahl line, right? We almost don't even call it the third line. And then the fourth-line center is going to be Jack Drury. And obviously an injury or a downturn in play from Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and Jack Drury is suddenly one of the most important players on a team that has high expectations. What I look at this for Jack Drury is simple. 2-year deal, $1.725 million. It's a little bit of security. It's a lot of bit of prove it. Right? It's a little bit of, all right, now you know where you're going to be for the next 2 years. It's a lot of, we need more goals. We need more point production. We need more 40-point seasons. We need more people afraid of the second line the fourth line and what your fourth line can do to their back half of their lineup.
Really, guys that just can score in an instant. Like just some great production.
Playmaker, right? The words that are going to get Jack Drury to the next level are production. Because here's the thing with Jack Drury, and here's what we know, right? Rod Brindamore trusts Jack Drury. In the postseason, when you only put people on the ice that you absolutely trust, he was up there at the second line, right? He was up there with the second line. So we know that Rod Brindamore trusts him to do the things that the Canes demand, right? You need to be able to back check. You need to be physical. You need to play the entire ice. Now it's about betting on yourself, taking that next chance. So by the time you get out of team control, you are desirable on the open market if that's what you choose, or you build so much value that the Canes pay you a boatload of money to stick around. From the team's perspective, this is immediately taking the Kuzy money. Right? We kind of, it started with a trickle, then the faucet opened up on news about Evgeny Kuznetsov wanting to terminate his contract and head to Russia, his home country, for a 4-year deal with SKA St. Petersburg. That became official today, which means $3.9 million in cap space this upcoming year for the Canes. I don't think the timing of those two pieces of news are coincidental. Right about noon today, you get the $3.9 million expected back on the cap. Right about 3 o'clock today, just moments ago, you hear the news of Jack Drury. I think like an unexpected tiny bit of cash after you've negotiated hard, I think that's a great way to get deals done. Right, because Jack Drury and the team, or Jack Drury's representatives, I keep saying Jack Drury. Obviously, you're dealing with agents. The agents and the team, they've been going at it, right? There's arbitration knocking on their door in just a couple days, right? They've been going at it, and it probably felt like each had moved as far as they possibly could. And then this Evgeny Kuznetsov situation happens, and maybe the team was able to add $200,000, right? And Jack Drury and his camp, perfect, right? Just that little bit of movement makes you feel like you won, makes you feel like you've gotten what you've asked for. Can you do that for Seth Jarvis? Can you do that, more importantly, with a little bit more of a ticking clock? Not more importantly, but with a little bit more of a ticking clock with Martin Necas. Because Martin Necas also has arbitration staring at you in the face.
Which is approaching this weekend.
Which is, yes.
So expect more Carolina Hurricanes news, folks.
It's to the point now where they're probably not even counting in days, they're counting in hours. If Evgeny Kuznetsov's decision to terminate his contract with the Canes and go play in Russia leads to Seth Jarvis, Martin Necas, and Jack Drury being happy, paid appropriately, and on the team all in, well, then I think you look around and you go, thank you, Evgeny Kuznetsov, for sacrificing that $6 million to help make it happen, right? Then he became the catalyst, or at least the aid towards getting those deals done. Now Jack Drury, and here's where the Canes have been so good in the past, okay? And here's where Jack Drury has to make good on it. If you look at the Brett Pesce's, right? If you look at some of these guys, the Teuvo Teravainens, they've come in on certain expectations, and for the better part, like overall, on average, they've played above what they're making, right? The players that go get deals elsewhere oftentimes make more per year in their next contract after being on the Canes than they were when they were on the Canes, which means they were overperforming their contract. Right? I just talked to Dennis on the little turnover, right? Dennis was leaving the studio. I was coming into the studio, and he, just like I did, got this news about 2 minutes before, and he said he was expecting 2 years, $2 million apiece for Jack Drury. Well, I hope Jack Drury plays like a $3 million player, right? I hope he plays like a $4 million player. That's where the Canes need to find their value, right? Because they had to move on from Pesci and Shea and all of these for money. They had to move on from Nason, and they had to move on from Tavo, and they had to move on from Gensel for money. The way you get that value back is by guys playing above their contract, and I think Jack Drury has the ability to play over the level of a $1.725 million per year player. I really like Jack Drury. I like the experience he's gained early in his career. Right? I like his comfort level. I like some of the big plays he makes. I think he is one of the guys that can provide value, right? Get $3 million a year worth of value from a $1.725 million player. That's how you become one of the best rosters in the NHL. The other thing it does is it gives you a little bit of comfort in the center position, as I started this with. I like the defense. We've mentioned it a bunch of times. If you throw Natchez on the wing, and he plays up to his level, I'm less terrified of what's going on in the wing. It's the center where I think the depth is a little lacking, which made Jack Drury so powerful, right? His leverage became so much more because he is so vital to what the Canes have going on.
And I know you said that, looking at it on paper, Jack Drury will probably center the fourth line for the Carolina Hurricanes.
That's where I expect him to start.
That's where you're expecting him to start. Tim, I'll be honest with you. With what I've seen out of Jack Drury in his past 3 seasons with the Carolina Hurricanes, it wouldn't surprise me if he even got bumped up to center in the third line maybe.
Well, the Stahl line, I almost don't even – like that's its own category.
It won't be
right?
touched.
It's just they have a different role, right? They're grinding the other team's best forwards to a pulp.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. And he'll be paired probably with maybe a Martinuk and perhaps a Carrier or something along those lines, maybe Roslovic. But that line I think is just different. So I look at like there's 3 scoring lines, which is probably an unfair way to describe it, and then there's the Stahl line. I think Jack Drury will be the center on the third of the scoring lines, with Stahl line being its own beast. But either way, Jack Drury's role is important, and he is now ahead of arbitration, which is always nice, connected to the Canes for 2 more years. And there's still some more team control options after that. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. The breaking news, if you're just tuning in, Jack Drury, 2 years, average annual value $1.75 million with the Canes. He'll stick around, as we just said. I expect center the fourth line for the Canes as they enter into a season of a little bit of a retooling. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. 99 questions about the college football season coming up next. Stick around.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
On a day after skis. Did I do it right, Smalls? I'm trying to do it. No, I'm trying to do it right. You got to do it.
It wasn't that bad.
Thank you.
It wasn't that bad.
Skis. Come on, Smalls.
You didn't have to do it twice, though.
Okay.
You did it once. I let you get away with it. I said it was okay. You tried to do it twice. Moderation, Evan.
Skis.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
What are you doing? Eating caviar. Yuck. Get this. Supreme 7 scratch-offs from the North Carolina Education Lottery have the best odds to win $400 with a $4 million top prize. So I'm learning to enjoy rich people stuff.
Okay, let me try. Gross.
What's next? Ballroom dancing.
Huh?
I'll lead.
New Supreme 7s, a shot at supreme riches. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 4.18. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
If you're a veteran, listen up. Did you know that you can access up to 100% of your home's equity right now? Hey, it's Dennis Cox for Loan Pronto. You can do it with Loan Pronto's VA Equity Advantage program. You can get 30, 50, 100 grand or more and use that money to pay off all those credit cards and personal loans, car loans, or maybe use the cash to do that home improvement project. Veterans love working with Loan Pronto because they make it easy. No junk fees, no hassle. They can unlock that cash in your home's equity in a matter of weeks. Don't keep paying insane rates on credit cards. There's a smarter alternative with Loan Pronto. Get more info and start the process now at loanpronto.com. Or if your current VA loan rate is over 6.5%, Loan Pronto can get you in a streamlined refinance with a lower rate right now with no income verification and no appraisal. Lower your monthly payment big time. Loan Pronto makes it so easy for veterans. Call now, 919-381-1760, 919-381-1760, 919-381-1760. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Drive into summer with the rugged Honda Ridgeline, Passport, and Pilot. Get outdoors, kick up some dust, get muddy, or just find that perfect campsite. And when you drive a Honda, you're driving with the 2024 Kelley Blue Book's KBB.com Best Value brand. So act now to get a great offer on the Honda you want.
Contact your local Carolina Honda dealer for a great deal today.
See dealer for financing details based on 2024 Consumer Choice Awards from Kelley Blue Book. Visit kbb.com for more information.
The best summer savings for golfers is now at Global Golf in Raleigh. This week only, save up to 60% on all tailor-made pre-owned golf clubs. Global Golf is home to Carolina's largest selection of pre-owned golf gear. Whether you need some new grips, professional lessons, or wanting to trade in your current clubs, swing by Global Golf at 7320 ACC Boulevard. Don't miss amazing summer sales and more at Global Golf, home to the best deals in golf.
Capital Broadcasting Company and NC Beautiful award thousands of azaleas to nonprofit organizations throughout the state. If your organization would like free azaleas, visit us online at wral-gardens.com. Go to the Azalea Celebration tab and fill out an application form by August 31st. Let's keep our state looking clean and beautiful.
For eligible individuals, 18 and older only. Results vary. See website for details and important safety information.
How are your hearing aids sounding now?
A little tinny.
Okay, 2 seconds.
With Jabra Enhanced Select's premium package, better hearing doesn't happen in a doctor's office. It happens at home, all done remotely from initial testing to adjustments.
How are they sounding now?
Fantastic. So much better. You get the same advanced hearing aid technology and professional support you expect from a clinic at a fraction of the cost. And if you have any issues, we'll make adjustments 7 days a week, no charge. Oh, you people are wonderful. Our premium package includes hearing aids, 3 years of follow-up care, plus a 3-year warranty with loss and damage coverage, and a 100-day money-back guarantee. I hear better than I ever thought possible. Save $300 on Enhanced Select 500 hearing aids automatically at checkout. Just go to jabraenhance.com/try. That's JABRA enhance.com/try. jabraenhance.com/try.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Again, just one more update for you. If you're just tuning in or you're just getting in your car, Jack Drury has avoided arbitration with the Carolina Hurricanes. He will be a member of the Canes for the next 2 years. 2-year contract agreed upon. That is a $1.725 million average annual value for Jack Drury. So, Dennis is one of his favorite players. Will be sticking around. He's a big Jack Drury guy.
And Trip Tracy.
And Trip Tracy, one of Trip Tracy's.
The Harvard connection sticking around between Trip Tracy, Jack Drury, and, of course, Seth Jarvis. Jarvis, the main person out of that Harvard connection.
It is. Harvard is one of those things. If you went there, it's just going to be mentioned every time you make a play. It's just how it's going to be. Ask Ryan Fitzpatrick or Kyle Juszczyk. Right now, we're going to jump into our 99 questions about the college football season series We are 38 days away from week 0, so we are nearing the final third of our 99 questions about the college football season. Today, the question is inspired by Dabo Swinney, Clemson head coach. And the question is, will the expanded playoff lead to more apathy, lead to more players not seeming to care? Dabo Swinney had some thoughts. I have some quotes in front of me. Let's first hear from Dabo himself.
You'll probably see some guys, if you're 4-4 and probably out of the playoffs, probably see some guys head off to Arizona and train. It's probably an unintended consequence. You'll probably see some situations where, like you see in the NFL, I mean, the Ravens are in the playoffs. They got locked up, right? They got the bye or whatever, and, well, they got one more game that really means nothing, right? Because it's all about the playoffs. So do you play Lamar in that game? And that's probably an unintended consequence in college, from a tradition standpoint is, maybe you're 11-0 and you got that rivalry game. But, you play your biggest foe next week in the conference championship, and if you win that game, you're going to get a bye. So those are things that are probably decisions you'll see play out all throughout college football.
Dabo Swinney needs – here's what I think Dabo Swinney needs. And
stop talking?
Maybe. But we can't tell him that, right, because he thinks he knows better. Dabo Swinney needs a group chat with his high school friends. He needs somebody that knows him from way back to just be like, bro, you don't know what you're talking about. Does he think having more teams eligible for the college football playoff means there's going to be more teams that don't care about the last couple games? More teams will care about the last couple games, right? When the college football playoff was 4 teams, you could lose game 1 of the season. And if it's to the wrong team, right? If it's to a team that's not seen as good, your hopes are done. The rest of the year, you're not making the college football playoff. Now, because the power conference champions all automatically make it in, you could lose your first 3 games. If they're all non-conference, you're still playing as hard as you possibly can to go win the conference because you might make the college football playoff. This is the opposite of what you're saying. When he says you'll see some guys, if you're 4-4 and out of the playoffs, will probably head off to Arizona and train for the NFL. Well, what about teams that were 6-2 last year and were already out of the playoffs? If you're 6-2 with a 14 playoff and your 2 losses are to not top 25 teams, you're done. If you're 6-2 with the current playoff, you still think if you win out, you have a chance. Matter of fact, I know if you win out, you have a chance because you'd win your conference. It's the exact opposite. Second of all, if you're Dabo Swinney, if your guys are quitting because you're 4-4, that's your fault. Motivate.
Right.
You're the coach. If they're quitting because they can't win a college football playoff, they didn't buy into any other goal you set for them.
I know a lot of people, and maybe even Dabo Swinney, went based on what he's saying, you can look and use Florida State as an example last year against Georgia. But the only difference is that all those guys that opted out were going to the NFL or transferring, and also they knew that they were out of the college football playoffs contention.
The bowl games will be a problem, right? All the other bowl games. But now there's more bowl games that do matter towards the college football playoff. Last year, there were 3 bowl games that contributed to the national championship, right? The 2 semifinals and the final. That's 4 teams that cared going into bowl season if you believe they only care about the college football playoff. Well, now there's 12 teams. That's a bunch more games, and 12. That's 8 more teams that care if you operate under the conceit that only college football teams going for the playoff care. The other thing is, and it's the second part of the quote, I'll read it for you. You just heard it from Dabo himself, but I'll give you a refresher. Maybe you're 11-0 and have a rivalry game, but you have your biggest foe the next week in a conference championship, and if you win that game, you're going to get a bye. Those are things that you'll see play out through college football. Well, first of all, that's competition, right? And you do see that at the NFL. If you think somebody has like a locked up top seed, you might see that. Does he honestly think anyone is going to complain if you rest starters because you've already secured a spot in the college football playoff? If NC State lives up to all their enormous potential this year, right, and all their transfers ball out, and they beat Tennessee, and they beat Clemson, and they beat everybody on their roster, and they're going into the North Carolina game undefeated.
Right.
And they decide, hey, you know what? Grayson McCall has a tweaked ankle. We're going to give him the day off. I think NC State fans would be like, oh, darn. But they're still the most excited they've been in however many years because they get to go to the college football playoff.
I mean, is it also on what North Carolina's season looks like at that point? Like, is North Carolina still trying to battle for bowl contention, and you're willing to be not a sacrificial lamb, but you're willing for them to become bowl eligible by resting some guys in that final game of the season?
Winning a national championship should be the most important thing to every team.
I don't know. I feel like Dave Dorr would love to win 5 straight, though, against Carolina.
Of course he would. But if not at the expense of winning a national championship. A national championship has to be the number one goal of every team. If you make your decisions based on what's going to win us a national championship, you're never going to hear me complain about that. Because it's competition and that's what matters. Especially in this scenario that he brought up, it's not costing you a conference championship. Right? You're still going to try to win the conference championship the next year. You work hard to get to those places. The Dabo Swinney of it all is he thinks this makes sense. And he doesn't have anyone in his life going, buddy, that's backwards. Right? He walks off of that podium and he has everybody going like, great job, awesome. You're for the future of sports. And he needs somebody that like knows him well enough that can slap him out of it in a phone call or a text that he won't get mad at or something. Because right now he doesn't have anybody raising their hand saying, Dabo, if it would have happened, it would have already happened. Right? If you think guys would sit out regular season games to go train for the NFL, it would have already happened. Because you knew these past however many years we've been in the college football 14 playoff, if you were eliminated by week 8. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9, The Fan. Dabo being Dabo. Still won't accept a transfer, by the way.
Put that on a t-shirt. Dabo being Dabo.
He would make an acronym for Dabo, and it would mean something completely outlandish. Completely outlandish. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I'm Tim Donnelly. Want to tell you about my friends over at the Fox and Bailey Watch Shop located inside Bailey's Fine Jewelry at their Village District location in Raleigh. And not just the watch shop, right? If you walk into the Bailey's Fine Jewelry in their Village District location, you look to your right, there's a really cool room. Go check them out. Talk with Mickey, their timepiece manager. That's the Fox and Bailey Watch Shop. If you look left, it's the Omega Boutique. The Omega Boutique is one of a kind. It's the second largest Omega Boutique of its kind in the entire country. And when you walk in there, you are treated to nothing but the best Omega watches. We're talking about white dial Speedmasters, which have become in vogue as of recently. You're talking about the classic Moon Watch, the watch that the NASA astronauts trust on their wrist on the moon. It's been worn on the moon. We're talking about the Seamaster, which is a classic diving watch, the Constellation, the DeVille, if you want to get a little bit classier. The Omega selection is iconic. And you walk into that boutique, and that's what you walk away with. And if you want to put one of them on your wrist, people will notice as soon as you walk into a room. Check it out. It's all at the Bailey's Fine Jewelry at their Village District location. If you're looking for a luxury watch, if you're looking for a luxury timepiece, they can help you get exactly what you're looking for. Just make sure they know when you walk into Bailey's Fine Jewelry that you heard about it right here on 99.9 The Fan from me, Tim. When we come back, speaking of Clemson, maybe not Dabo, but could Clemson in the boardroom or Florida State in the boardroom actually destroy the ACC from the inside? Stick around.
Golf's final major will be found on 99.9 The Fan. Listen all week long as we cover the Open Championship from Royal Troon. Find out if Brian Harmon can go back-to-back or if a new champion emerges. Depend on us for constant leaderboard updates and every big moment through the presentation of the Claret Jug. Coverage of the Open Championship on 99.9 The Fan is teed up by McConnell Golf with 16 top-ranked courses, the best private club value from the mountains to the coast.
Hello, I'm John Heister for the Heister Automotive Group. And we're constantly looking for ways to serve you better. One of the ways we do that is with something we call a Go-See. And that's where you select a vehicle from our inventory, and we have thousands, and we get one of our product specialists to bring that vehicle to you at your convenience. How do we do that? Well, it's simple. We have a group of employees that are evaluated based on the number of presentations they do. They're glad to do it. So it's just one more way we get off our keister and bring Heister to you.
Picture this, the perfect summer barbecue. No stress, no responsibilities, just all your friends, burgers sizzling, hot dogs cooking, Pepsi Zero Sugar fizzing, and a backyard of very, very happy people. Oh yeah, we could get used to this. Very, very used to this. Grilling, better with Pepsi.
For a limited time, get 2 20-ounce Pepsis for only $4.25 at Refuel. So hurry in and enjoy an ice-cold Pepsi today.
Let me talk to those of you who are contact lens wearers. Are you tired of wasting time and money every day, putting them in, taking them out, cleaning, ordering new ones, glasses, prescription sunglasses? I could go on and on. Dr. Lori Travers and Travers LASIK are your answers to my question. In just 5 minutes per eye, Dr. Lori can put you on the path to 20/20 vision. Plus, it's totally painless. You can go back to work the next day. And 2 years, 0 interest financing is available. And we're throwing in $1,000 off. Now the hard part, you actually have to pick up the phone. 919-510-6830. Make the call now. The consultation is free. You could go online, traverslasik.com, but you can call 919-510-6830, 919-510-6830. Go to 20/20 vision in less than 10 minutes. Dr. Lori Travers, Travers LASIK. See what you've been missing.
That'll be 30 even.
That's 90 points! Sorry, that was a lot. Now that I'm getting 3 times the points on food and fuel with the Navy Federal More Rewards American Express card, I get a little too hyped sometimes.
Cool. Would you like your receipt?
In the bag! Sorry, in the bag, please.
Learn more about the everyday, everywhere Navy Federal More Rewards American Express card at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start August 14th. Apply now and save with no application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
You were supposed to get a colon cancer screening, but stuff came up.
We did have to pick up the twins from practice.
But on the way, we hit a giant pothole.
If you are 45 and older, don't let butt stuff get in the way of your screening. Visit the Colorectal Cancer Alliance at ccalliance.org.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. Get 3 rooms Zero Resified. That's carpets clean as they could possibly be, starting at just $109, and get a free hallway done on top of that. Just call now at ZeroResRaleigh.com or 919-995-0000.
The Adam Gold Show.
While I'm watching Colombia, Uruguay, not only the end of that match, but the fight in the stands after it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Heard it got spicy.
A horrible, horrible look. But that was the most excited fans we have seen in 5 years at Bank of America Stadium. Man, look at all the happy people at Bank of America.
Just took the other kind of football.
Yeah, there you go. More of that.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Florida State and Clemson could realistically, matter of fact, not even could, according to some reporting, they are motivated to destroy the ACC from the inside. But before we get to that, quickly here, right, and I intentionally waited a half hour to do this. I'm not big on celebrations, especially for things that I'm a part of, but today is the 1-year anniversary of this show starting on 99.9 The Fan. It is exactly 1 year since we started the drive here in the Triangle, since I showed up on your airwaves for the first time. And while I'm not big on celebrations, I am big on gratitude. So this is me saying thank you to all of you, right? I'm completely aware, and we are completely aware. Graham, I know Dennis would like to be here saying the same thing. Victoria, who occasionally jumps on the show. Paul, who produces or program directs everything around here. And everybody else behind the scenes at 99.9 The Fan. We are completely aware that we get to do what we do because of you. We get to argue and scream and rant and dive in and do everything to sports because you all give us the time for this show in your afternoon to tune in and listen. I also have to give a shout-out to all the teams we cover for including us in their coverage and for just being wildly interesting this first year of the show.
Yeah, Final Four run certainly helps.
A couple Final Four runs, double overtime games. The Panthers, while maybe not great, were interesting for darn sure, right?
They always make it interesting.
Be first or last, right, as far as creating content. So basically I want to say I've had a lot of fun this past year. I think we've had a lot of fun on this show. Hopefully you've had a lot of fun. And the other thing I can promise, right, not big on celebrations, big on gratitude, big on promises, big on accountability, is we're going to continue to work as hard as we possibly can to make this show better moving forward. So if you're sitting there saying, oh, the first year, oh, you don't even do this, or you're not going to do that, or why didn't you do this? Hey, we're going to be trying new things as long as this show's on the air. We're going to keep trying to impress you and surprise you and have some fun with it. So on the 1-year anniversary of the first show of The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan, most importantly, thank you, and thank you for giving me the time right there to say it.
Happy birthday, Tim.
We don't say it enough to our listeners how awesome you are.
Or happy birthday to The Drive.
So on situations like this, I want to make sure you all know how awesome you are. With that being said, now let's jump into one of the things I think we do very well over the first year on this show, which is calling out the nonsense in the ACC.
Sure.
I think we've got a corner on the market. I hate that Florida State and Clemson are now motivated to light the ACC on fire from the inside. Right? We talked yesterday about how the Big Ten and the SEC, now the reports are out there, Brett McMurphy's Action Network did the reporting, that the Big Ten and the SEC don't want Florida State and don't want Clemson. But there was a caveat, right? There was a escape door, a trap door, if you will. They don't want Florida State and Clemson with the ACC still intact. This is from the reporting done by Brett McMurphy on Action Network. If they, meaning Florida State and Clemson, get out at a low number that allows everybody else to do a conga line out the door, then they'll end up in the SEC or the Big Ten, because then the Big Ten goes to 20, the SEC goes to 20, whoever is left over, that goes to the Big 12, they go to 20, and then we're down to 3 power leagues. So basically, the SEC and the Big Ten aren't interested in just Clemson and Florida State. However, if the ACC disintegrates, right, if there is that kind of nuclear option and the ACC goes away, suddenly the Big 12, the Big 10, suddenly the SEC is now saying, well, this is a land grab. Let's get the best teams we can out of the ACC, bring them to our conference because we know everybody else is going to be gobbling them up. So just to be clear, based on that logic, the only way Clemson and Florida State end up where they want to go, which would be the Big Ten and the SEC, is if the ACC ceases to exist. I don't like that being the only way they get where they want to go. I'm envisioning right now a Jerry Maguire speech from Florida State to the rest of the ACC, right? Some manifesto being sent out, some long 28-page, single-spaced, front and back memo being mailed across the country to all the ACC schools saying, we need to get out of here. We need to tear this place down. They're holding you back. Da-da-da-da. The ACC is bad for this. The ACC is bad for that. And they're going to end with the great Jerry Maguire, who's coming with me?
Then Clemson's just going to shoot up. I will.
Yeah, I guess Clemson is Renee Zellweger in this scenario.
Yes. Clemson. Yes. Come on.
Grabbing the fish and getting on the elevator.
So what's your plan? I don't have one.
We'll figure that out. But the concern would be if their speech is better than Jerry Maguire, right? The concern would be, what if North Carolina, who's voted with Clemson and Florida State in the past, says, I'll go? What if once that happens, the powers that be in North Carolina say NC State has to go with you? And then what if once they see that, Virginia and Virginia Tech are like, we're not getting left behind? And then once you see North Carolina, NC State, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Florida State signing up, how quickly till all of the followers, Miami, Louisville, all right, fine, we're in. That's all it takes, right? Like 8, 9, 10 teams, and it's a snowball. Then everybody's trying to get out, and then you have to start worrying about the Big 12. Now, I will say this, and I will say it until I am blue in the face. It's going to have to take a cataclysmic event like that. And it's going to have to handle, like, late-night meetings at clandestine locations under the cover of darkness, right? If here's a message, this message will self-destruct in 3, 2, 1. If you tell anybody we talked about this, we'll do terrible things to your mascot. Like, it's gonna take that level of stuff, because if you're just a couple of teams that want to leave, I still think the grant of rights is airtight, and I still think you'll have to pay $500 million. No one's been able to explain to me how you avoid that unless there is an implosion of the ACC. And I believe it's like, you need 47% of the conference or something to want to leave. And now that's not an exact number. You need a large percentage of the conference to want to leave if the ACC is going to cease to exist.
So with all the hypothetical you just gave, with all those teams kind of join, I guess that would make NC State Renee Zellweger's son in the movie at this point. With all those hypotheticals and all those teams, if they decide
Cuba Gooding would make him Cuba Gooding Jr.
Exactly.
Congratulations, you're still my agent.
There you go. If they all went with
Show me the money.
I am your agent, Jerry. You're my agent, Jerry. You're supposed to call or pick up anytime I call. Anyways, are they all just going to go with the SEC, or is it going to be like, well, I mean, thank you for getting us out, but we're actually going to go to the Big 10. We're going to go to the Big 12, now the Big 16, Big 18, whatever you want to call it.
I think what would likely happen is like the SEC and the Big 10 would almost have a draft. Now, they wouldn't respect each other's wishes, right? But they would try to choose the best 4 programs, 5 programs, however much they need to go to because right now the SEC is at 16, right? I think 18, 20 is a logical end spot for a super conference, probably 20. So the SEC, if they see the ACC imploding, again, clandestine meetings, I think they would let the teams know, right? Maybe it is North Carolina, NC State, Florida State, and Clemson. Hey, just so you know, if everything goes haywire and the ACC isn't around, you're the 4 we want. Don't tell anybody, right? Because you wouldn't want to tell anybody, because you're going to need other teams to want to leave the ACC to make this happen. It gets real crazy. It becomes really, really like Survivor-like, right? Like the show, or any show where you got to vote people off, right? You need everybody to think you're their friend, but you also need to know who you can actually depend on and who you can actually trust, right? Because if, let's say the ACC wants those 4 schools we mentioned, or some other like they want Clemson, Florida State, UNC, and Virginia, like whoever they want. The only way they get them is if the ACC implodes, right? So they might tell 8 teams, hey, there's a good chance if the ACC implodes, we're going to want you in the SEC. Just to get the fire started, right? Just to get the collapse started, and then once the collapse happens, all right, we only want you 4.
Yeah, then when it gets to tribal council,
exactly.
Whose torches are being put out? NC State, bring me your torch.
Or maybe Game of Thrones is a better example, right? My point is there's going to be deception, and there's going to be nothing on the record to back us up.
Now, the only thing that I'm reminded of is this past Monday when SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey was asked about this. He said we're focused on our 16 period, or am I just looking at the world through rose-colored glasses when he makes that statement?
I think he would have said we're focused on the 14 teams that we have up until 20 minutes before the Texas and Oklahoma news broke.
Okay, yeah.
Right? The Texas and Oklahoma news, in a lot of ways, sparked all of this. I know it wasn't the beginning of conference realignment, but it was some pretty big dominoes that fell. We didn't see it coming at all. Right? When that happened, I was legitimately flabbergasted. So the SEC knows what, like, that's a tribal council moment where you read the votes and you're like, oh my goodness, Texas and Oklahoma just voted out the Big 12. They were best friends. Like that's how crazy it is. So going back to what I'm saying here is I just don't like that that's what Florida State and Clemson are hoping for, right? Because like if you're just I like to say I'm a fan of chaos. It's kind of a joke, right? Like I'm a fan of chaos in that I love it when there's one playoff spot remaining and there's an 8-way tie for it. And it's like, all right, we got to go to the 17th tiebreaker. Points scored at home in the first quarter against conference opponents. Like that's just chaos. That's kind of fun to watch. But if you're legitimately just an agent of chaos, if you're legitimately like just Florida State and you understand the only way you get out is if the ACC implodes, I mean, you're booby-trapping everything, right? You're going to Boston College and saying, hey, did you hear what Louisville said about you? Then you're going to Louisville and you're saying, like, I was talking with Miami and they think you're ugly. Like, you're just trying to start fights.
It just turns into the halls of a high school again.
With, like the Mean Girls running the show. Like it's like a some kind of a cliche, more cliquey, more dramatic high school than even real high school is. Because you have someone whose only goal, it's not like their own insecurities or their own gossip that's driving it. It's they actually want to start chaos. This is what it is. And this is the most ridiculous reference I could possibly put together. I remember in high school we were learning about Roman times, like ancient Roman times, right? The joke now is like, guys think of the Roman Empire all the time. We were learning about that, and the teacher was trying to teach about being ostracized, right? Like if the council or whatever thought you were doing bad enough things, they would ostracize you and you would just have to go to some remote island, and that's where you had to live like in exile the rest of your life. So what she did was she passed out cards, and all the cards had, like, you're the emperor, you're the gladiator, you're the jester, whatever it was, like all of the roles. And on one card it said, get ostracized. And, of course, I drew get ostracized. So I had to make the class hate me so much they wanted me to be voted out of, like, the class. So I started, annoying people, flicking ears, right, throwing stuff at the teacher. I was just trying to cause chaos. That's what this exercise was.
Snapping your fingers in classmates' ears.
Yeah, blaming other people for stuff, throwing stuff. It was him. Like, going over the top because that's what the exercise was. That's going to be Florida State.
That's going to be Florida. Well, no, because they're trying to bring Clemson with them. I was going to say that's going to be Florida State when everybody's saying, but you haven't won a national championship since 2014. Since 2013, 2014. Then Florida State could easily flip the script and say, yeah, but when's the last time Clemson won a national championship? But again, that's not going to work since
Clemson
they're trying.
Won 4 years ago?
Since they're trying to leave together.
It's just they're just going to try to create chaos, and that's even if it doesn't work, right? Even if the rest of the ACC stays strong, even if NC State and North Carolina now bound by the state legislation that they can't move as quick, even if it doesn't work, right? Even if it doesn't work, we still have to put up with the chaos they're trying to induce for the next 13 years.
Well, that was the next thing I wanted to ask you. How much leverage do you think state lawmakers can continue to have to make sure that what we've heard in the past, where NC State and North Carolina will stay together in the ACC, or they won't let them leave?
Well, what it is they can't leave without approval, right? They can't change their conference without approval from the state legislation. That's not necessarily meaning they can't, like North Carolina can't leave without NC State.
Right.
But I do think that it might be like we have to be certain NC State has a landing spot, right? Or vice versa, right? If NC State gets the request, they're like all right, if you're going to the SEC, NC State has a request from the Big Ten, so we're good. Like then it's all right, if you know what I mean, or vice versa. You're going to the Big Ten, fine, you can go to the Big Ten. NC State has a commitment from the SEC, so we're not worried about them. Like that's what I think it's going to be. But I'm not here for the chaos. Not here for the chaos at all. Let's move on to the Canes, shall we?
Speaking of chaos.
Hey, cause chaos. I never liked that hashtag, by the way.
Yeah, because when it's going good, it's going great.
Chaos
but then you
is
can
good
see
and bad.
you can see the bad side of it, and we kind of have seen that during the offseason this year.
I don't love cause chaos because good chaos is awesome, but bad chaos is equally as bad. So earlier today, right, Evgeny Kuznetsov officially, the team put out a statement saying that they've put him on waivers with the intention to terminate his contract, which means he's going to Russia to play for SKA St. Petersburg on a 4-year deal, and the Canes will not be on the hook for his salary this season, which means they get $3.9 million back on the salary cap, which also, by the way, Washington gets because they were footing half of his bill in the trade. Since then, right, a couple hours after that, Jack Drury, it was announced by I think the NHL Network got there first, but Elliot Friedman, Hockey Night in Canada, put it out there. He's signed a 2-year extension at $1.725 million average annual value, a little bit more in year 1 than in year 2. First of all, happy for Jack Drury. I think it's good that they got that drama done before arbitration. Overall, a good move there. It still doesn't help what happened to the Canes this offseason, which is they lost a lot and then mostly had to spend the resources that they saved by moving on from that to keep guys happy that were already in the program. They did like Shane Gostisbehere, Sean Walker, like Carrier, like they did spend some money, but those are on mostly $2 and $3 million players. Like you lose a $7 million player, there really wasn't much brought back in. You lose a $5.5 million player, there really wasn't much brought back in. And the way I know this is because ESPN did a exercise on outgoing versus ingoing goals above replacement. So every player has a goals above replacement stat, right? So it's an advanced analytic that kind of shows how impactful you are on the ice. And all ESPN did, it's not complicated, is they added up all of the goals above regulation or above replacement for the players that left, and they added up all the goals above replacement for the players that were signed and compared them. And it turns out the Canes have the 4th most lost value this offseason. So they had the 4th biggest difference between the goals above replacement they lost and the goals above replacement they brought in. Jack Drury doesn't solve that. I like the signing, but he was already around. If you take that Kuznetsov money, right, that money against the cap that you now have saved up, and you spend it on Seth Jarvis, Jack Drury, Martin Necas, which is what I think most of us believe they're going to do with that money, divide it up and help those deals happen, you still didn't bring in anything, right? You're still just extending what you did last year. Now you are hoping, because they are all young, right? 25 or younger, all 3 of those guys, that they will individually be better next year. They'll just improve their skills. But there's still this part of the offseason that not many fans are acknowledging, which is you lost a lot of production and you had to nickel and dime your way through free agency and bringing guys in. This year will be harder for the Canes than it was last year. That's just a fact, right? Jack Drury is coming back. He's going to be the fourth line center for you. A lot of times last year he was playing with maybe Stefan Nason, right? Might have been out there with someone like when he was on the second line, Teuvo Teravainen.
Jordan Martinook too,
Jordan Martinook, but Jordan Martinook's still around. He still might be with him this year. But like Nason and those guys aren't coming back. He's going to have to play better despite having less familiarity and less experience around him. That's what this comes down to, right? And oh, by the way, the teams above the Canes that lost more value against the value they brought in, goals above regulation, Vegas, Florida, and Winnipeg. What do you notice about 2 of those 3 teams? They won 2 of the last 2 cups, right? Vegas won a cup 2 years ago. Florida won this year. So it makes sense that they can't afford everyone coming back. They all have that championship glow. They're all getting extra on the open market to bring the championship culture to their new locker rooms. The Canes are getting that same kind of pilfering, that same pillaging, but they didn't get the cup. That's where they are. This year is a challenge for Rod Brindamore. Now, it could end up paying dividends down the line, right? Because you take care of Seth Jarvis, you take care of Jack Drury, which we hope happens with Jarvis, has already happened with Jack Drury. If those guys take the next step, you're better in the long term and you have them on pretty good deals. You maybe play Bradley Nadeau or a Jackson Blake or a Felix Unger-Sorum. These are prospects, forwards for the Canes. If one or more of them get significant minutes this year, they play great, beautiful. You have value on an entry-level contract. If you get Martin Necas back on board and played at the top level of his physical gifts, he's obviously a wicked fast skater. Right? There's high reward on what they're doing this year, but also high degree of difficulty. It's going to be more difficult to have the 3rd best record in the league this year than it was last year, which is what they ended up having. That's what I'm trying to say. It will be more difficult to have the 3rd best record or anything close to it in the league this year, based on how this offseason has gone, even with moves that we like. This doesn't mean we hate everything. I like Gostisbehere. I like Walker. I like their price. I like the Jack Drury deal, which just happened today. I like a lot of what they did. Still, it's going to be harder this year than it was last year. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We call it this year, right? This upcoming year, we're going to say this year?
Yeah.
And that's not
I
next
mean, we're
year?
like only 3 months away, 2 months away from preseason.
I always get confused. Is it next season? Or is next season the following season?
Now you know how I feel when I'm typing out YouTube descriptions. I have to sit there for a second. I'm like,
is next Wednesday a week from today? Or is next Wednesday 2 weeks from today?
A week from today.
Things that make you say, Dennis would disagree with you, by the way. We've had this argument. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Want to tell you about Miller Lending, and, of course, that includes Gordon Miller. They are the home of the no-cost loan. That means sometimes I just throw that out there, right? It's no closing cost loan, the home of the no-cost loan. They've been doing it for decades. Here's what it is. It is a mortgage where normally, and now if you've bought a house, you've been there, right? You look at the down payment, you decide what you can afford. You're like, all right, here's what you got. You make the offer, they accept the offer. You're looking at monthly payments. You're like, all right, we can afford that. And then right near the end, they're like, and here's where you can send your closing costs. And you're like, whoa. Right? It's the first time you buy a house, you get surprised by this. That doesn't happen with Miller Lending. Right? If you don't want closing costs and fees, they don't have closing costs and fees. 0 means 0. There's not that surprise for the extra thousands of dollars that you just have to come up with right at the end of the process. And then on top of that, because there's no closing costs and fees, no money out of your pocket, you can refinance more freely, right? You don't think you have to time it right at the bottom of the market because you're paying these fees and you want it to be worth your while. Instead, just go ahead and refinance when you see fit, because you're not taking money out of your pocket every time you do. So if you want to do it again in 3 months, do it again in 3 months. The number to call to hear more from Miller Lending is 919-447-3377. That's 919-447-3377. Or you can visit them online at millerlending.com. That's millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS number 2502146. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, football at 4, more behind the scenes of the Panthers mismanaging the Brian Burns trade. Stick around.
Hi, this is Renee Chu. The most trusted local news in the Triangle is now on the radio. WREL News Plus. Now get breaking news and severe weather reports on the radio 24 hours a day. Listen on the radio at 96.5 FM in Durham, 99.3 FM in Raleigh, and everywhere in the Triangle at 101.5 HD3.
Hungry for flavor and value? Then it's Bo time. Nothing slays the hunger beast like some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. And there's never been a better time to satisfy your Bojangles sandwich cravings than now. With Bojangles Summer Sandwich lineup, You can choose a flavorful Cajun fried chicken filet sandwich, or a tender Cajun grilled chicken filet sandwich, or a crispy Cajun filet club sandwich, or a tasty Bo's chicken sandwich. Make it a sandwich combo and add your choice of a side. Maybe Bojangles seasoned fries, dirty rice, or Cajun pintos. And to complete the perfect meal, Bojangles legendary iced tea. There's a Bojangles sandwich combo for everyone in the family. Summer just doesn't get any better than that. What are you waiting for? You know you're hungry, and you know you want flavor and value. So, it's Bojangles Sandwich Combo time.
You're not going to want to miss this. Diamonds Direct summer sale starts this weekend. For 3 days only, this Friday through Sunday. Get 20% off rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, and more. Plus, book an appointment and get an additional $100 off. And designers are flying in from New York and LA to showcase their latest trends. That's 20% off, plus $100 off with an appointment and designer trunk shows. Tons of engagement rings on sale, too. 20% off starts Friday. Details at diamondsdirect.com. 3 days only and Sunday.
Get ready to be captivated by a gun range like no other. Hey, it's Victoria Vodenecker here for Youngsville Gun Club and Range, the only live-fire digital indoor shooting range on the East Coast. It's open to the public, offers 20 modern shooting lanes, and carries one of the largest selections around. And speaking of the selection, YGC has the hottest firearms to accommodate individual preferences and the best prices in the area. Youngsville Gun Club and Range is conveniently located off US 1 in Youngsville, and for $10 off a range card, use promo code SPORTS. Learn more at ygunrange.com. That's the letter Y, gunrange.com.
Is foot pain keeping you from living the life you love? Hi, it's Jonathan Cotton with the Good Feet Store, and life is too short to be living with foot, knee, or back pain. When all four arches in your feet are supported, the results can be amazing. Go to goodfeet.com to make your appointment today.
This is Monster Jam. Witness big air, two-wheel skills, backflips, and all-out racing. It's the only place to see the world's best riders tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks, like Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Megalodon, and more. It's big-time fun for the whole family. Monster Jam, as big as it gets. Coming to PNC Arena July 27th and 28th. Brought to you by BKT Tires and Gray Clips. Visit monsterjam.com today.
Adam Gold in studio with my man Sammy Hanna, owner-operator of the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. I tell people this all the time. If I am doing a commercial for somebody, I am vouching for who they are and what they do. You guys do great work, but your customer service stands above all the great work that you do.
Adam, I truly appreciate that testimonial. And yeah, we try to take pride in our customer service and meet and exceed our homeowners' expectations on all their home improvement needs. Obviously, there's many companies out there that do what we do. If you Google home improvements, Raleigh, you're going to get many, many companies. But you're not going to find too many companies out there that have a 4.9 rating and over 800 Google reviews and over 7,000 Guild Quality reviews. It takes a lot of work on our part to make sure we meet and exceed all your expectations on customer service. And we're going to continue to do so because that's why we've been in business since 1961.
I have used the Aluminum Company. I have not heard anyone that had anything but incredible things to say about all of you, and that is amazing. That's a testimony to how you guys do it. Aluminum Company of North Carolina, aluminumcompany.com.
This hour of buzzer-beating, nail-biting, edge-of-your-seat sports action on 99.9 The Fan is powered by
Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
Visit GotBryan.com.
That's GotBryan.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Already toasty midday with heat advisories in effect through the evening. The heat index peaking between 104 and 108. Scattered storms moving in out of the west after 2 or 3 p.m. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones still up at 243 points at 41,197.
Let's move the chains. Time for Football at 4.
It is time for Football at 4 here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. And honestly, I'm not sure Joe Schoen, the GM of the Giants, and Dan Morgan are all that close friends. Even though everybody keeps telling me they go way back, they worked in Carolina together, they're good friends, their families like each other. Because every single time I watch Hard Knocks, the Giants offseason edition, they're making the Panthers' negotiation for the Brian Burns trade look worse and worse. The Panthers actually played a couple cards right this time, right? Because they showed the kind of finale of the trade. The Panthers pulled a kind of a baller move. So Joe Schoen says this on the show, the GM of the Giants, during the negotiations with the Panthers for the Brian Burns trade. Joe Schoen tells someone in his staff, I said 39. He said no. I said if it's 39, it's just 39. So what that means is Joe Schoen said if you want the 39th overall pick for Brian Burns, it's just 39. You're not getting anything else. If you want an extra pick, he says, it's pick 47 and a 2025. Dan said he's waiting on the owner. So to explain what that means, they did a little negotiation, right? You want the 39th overall pick? Yeah, I do, but I want something else. Well, if you want something else, it's got to be the 47th overall pick, and then I can give you a 2025 pick. All right, let me go talk to my owner. With big trades, that's not crazy. For everyone screaming like, oh, David Tepper shouldn't be involved, blah, 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 blah. For big trades, franchise player decisions, you do go to the owner and you do check. Because they do have to worry about the business, and Brian Burns sells a lot of jerseys, right? Just like Mara, the owner of the Giants, was heavily involved in the Saquon conversations. So don't go screaming at Tepper for that one. Scream at Tepper for a lot of stuff, not that. After Joe Schoen had that conversation with Dan Morgan, the Panthers took 7 hours to get back to the Giants. 7 hours of let me go check with the owner, and just left them hanging. That's kind of a baller negotiation move, right? Because while this is happening, other NFL moves are happening, right? Guys are signing, guys could be traded, other free agents or other edge rushers who the Giants might go after. They're filling up their spots, right?
They're slipping by.
So the Giants now are making the decision, do we wait and put all of our eggs in this Brian Burns basket, or do we go solve our edge rusher needs elsewhere? That's a risk that Dan Morgan and the Panthers took, right? Because if the Giants went and got an edge rusher elsewhere, if they went and signed, I don't know, Jadeveon Clowney, if they went elsewhere, then they would no longer be in the market for Brian Burns, and you might have missed out on your best offer that you had. But it did work out for the Panthers up to this point. They called 7 hours later, and the Giants were still waiting. But now guess what had happened? The Panthers had better leverage because the Giants had less options to fill that. So the Panthers should have been in position to get something else. To go, you know what? We talked about it. We do need pick 39 and the 2025 and the 5th and whatever it ended up being. 47's not going to make it. But that didn't happen. You know what happened? And this is why I hate it so much. Dan Morgan called Joe Schoen, GM of the Panthers, called the GM of the Giants. And we get to see one half of this conversation, right? We saw it from Joe Schoen's perspective on Hard Knocks. Joe Schoen answered the phone, and do you know what he said? It rubbed me the wrong way every different way. Daniel Thomas Morgan, what's up, buddy?
Oh, he buddied him.
He buddied him? He full named him? Right? He not Dan Morgan, not Demo, as a lot of people call him, Daniel Thomas Morgan.
My biggest pet peeve is being called buddy.
It's big, like big cousin vibes, right? Like I'm talking to somebody who is beneath me. We're friends here. We're pals. In that moment, you're not friends. You're not pals. You're adversaries. And you know what Joe Schoen starts saying? Hey, man, we're going to be doing this a lot over the next few years, over the next, hopefully, long time, right? We're going to be in the same league as GMs for a long time. You start playing up to Dan Morgan, right? You're going to be a GM for decades. We got to be able to be fair with each other. No, you
Work
don't.
With one another, yeah.
Get the deal that's best possible. And if in the future you have a deal that can make them better and they turn it down for personal petty reasons because that one time years ago you squeezed them for an extra first, that's their fault. And then what did Dan Morgan try to do? He tried to squeeze him for another 7th rounder. He tried to squeeze him for a 7th round pick. 7 hours, he comes in with more leverage, and he's trying to use that leverage to get a 7th round pick. The smallest of the small, right? Like you're buying a car, and they're like, hey, throw in the fuzzy dice hanging from the rear view mirror, and it's a deal. Like he was asking for the nothing, right? You see this when you're buying a house. Sometimes you're like, you know what? Throw in the microwave on the counter, and it's a deal. It's like you're just trying to get something. Dan Morgan came asking after 7 hours of his leverage only getting better, came back to the Giants, and the Giants said, what's up, buddy? And he said, all right, I need a 7th. You know what Joe Shane said? No.
We're not going to budge.
He said, no. He said, I need players too. He said, why don't we do exactly what we talked about 7 hours ago? I'm paraphrasing there, but only a little bit. He's like, no, let's do what we talked about before. You know what happened? Dan Morgan was like, okay, click. The Giants were celebrating. They're hugging each other in the halls. Part of being a GM is recognizing when you have the cards and when they have the cards. To use a Kenny Rogers legendary song, got to know when to hold them. Know when to fold them. Know when to walk away.
I was going to say this.
Know when to run.
When you were explaining this at the very beginning, I'm just thinking to myself, this just sounds like one big game of like blackjack.
Yes, or poker,
or
right?
Texas Hold'em, yeah.
Yeah, it's poker. It's you got to try to play, and for most of it, the Giants were 3 steps ahead of the Panthers, right? We've talked about it. They showed earlier in the series, this Hard Knocks behind-the-scenes series for the Giants, when the Giants internally started talking about Brian Burns, they were thinking a first-rounder plus, right? When they were saying, what is it going to take for us to go get Brian Burns, they were thinking a first-round pick and then some. They didn't get the first-round pick because the Giants were ahead of them, right? They were 1 step ahead. But this 7-hour wait where other edge rushers were being picked off and going elsewhere, and the options were becoming less and less, and the Giants had to make a decision to wait, and they did. You flipped your hands. You had the leverage for a second. And I'm not saying you were going to go be all Johnny Strongarm and say, hey, now, based from this morning till now, you got to give me Malik Neighbors. Like, I'm not saying that. But you could have got the 7th you wanted, right? You could have got a 3rd, 4th pick swap. You could have got something. And in the NFL, anytime you have leverage, anytime you have something that can turn into a value, you have to cash that in. What did Al Pacino say in Any Given Sunday? It's a game of inches, gentlemen. It's about who's willing to fight and claw for that inch. The Panthers had more than an inch, right? They had a legitimate advantage that they just let pass down the way because Joe Shane called him Daniel Thomas Morgan and called him Buddy and just bullied him at the end. Like, you go watch the episode. You see Joe Shane nervous. He was vulnerable. He was worrying about what was going to happen if this Brian Burns trade didn't get done. And the moment you sense that, you have to pounce. You have to be cutthroat, cold-blooded. I don't care if he's your friend. He's terrified that this deal won't get done. How much is that terror worth to him? And the Panthers got nothing for it. They got the same deal they talked about 7 hours earlier. Like, it's a cliche, right? Because it's in the movie Draft Day, right? The movie with Kevin Costner, right? Yes, we're living in a whole different world than we were living in just 30 seconds ago. Just because you talked about someone 7 hours ago doesn't mean you can't be living in a whole new world where you get more value for your player 7 hours later. There's nothing that says you shouldn't get more value 15 seconds later. Why did you wait that long if you were just going to accept the regular deal? The Brian Burns, I like, and by the way, I know I have to do this disclaimer at the end of everything so people won't yell at me on social media. I like a lot of the moves the Panthers made, right? Deontay Johnson trade, love it. Some of the moves on the interior offensive line, really like. if you botch the big trade for your best player, it's really hard to get excited about the offseason as a whole. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I can get excited about windows from Window Nation, though. It's hot out there. It is hot out there. If you do yard work like I do, right? You're out pushing the mower, or maybe you're out playing with the kids. Maybe you're out getting a workout in. You go for a run. When I walk inside the house, I like that rush, right? If you got the air conditioner running, you like to walk in and feel that whoosh of cold air. You know what would be a real bummer? If your windows are builder grade, or if they're more than 8 years old, and you walk in the room expecting that whoosh of cold air, but instead you walk in and get kind of a meh, right? You get kind of that's a little bit colder. Or maybe you have to pay so much more in your energy costs to get that same whoosh of cold air that the rest of us get for less money because we have more efficient windows. Right now, Window Nation wants to get your old, inefficient windows out. They're costing you hundreds of dollars a year in energy bills, and get brand new, top-of-the-line, top material window into your house. And right now, buy 2 windows, get 2 free at Window Nation. There's no limit to how much you can save. Buy 2, get 2 for as many windows as you have in your house. Plus, pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. Just schedule your free, no-obligation consultation now. They can come out to your house and talk you through all of the technology behind their Window Nation windows. It's easy. Call 866-90-NATION. That's 866-90-NATION, or visit windownation.com to schedule. That's windownation.com to schedule now. We'll take a break. When we come back, hit it and quit it, including some golf, some baseball. We hit it all coming up next.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
On a day after skis. Did I do it right, Smalls? I'm trying to do it. No, I'm trying to do it right. You got to do it.
It wasn't that bad.
Thank you.
It wasn't that bad.
Skis. Come on, Smalls.
You didn't have to do it twice, though. Okay. You did it once. I let you get away with it. I said it was okay. You tried to do it twice. Moderation, Evan.
Skis.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Hey, it's Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. If you're like me, you're getting crushed by rising costs of everything these days. I get it. It's brutal, and credit card rates are ridiculous and going higher. That's why at Loan Pronto, we launched our Express Equity Line of Credit to bring you the relief you and your family need, using your home, your most valuable asset. We've helped thousands of people like you get fast relief with cash. The average homeowner who does this gets tens of thousands in just days and is able to save $850 per month in overall expenses. I'm talking life-changing money. Your money that you have access to right now. Listen, if you're ready to get control of your finances and get off the hamster wheel, call Loan Pronto. You can get approved for Express Equity Line of Credit in just minutes, and we can get your cash in less than a week. Stop digging a deeper credit card hole today. Call Loan Pronto now. 919-381-1760. 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. 919-381-1760.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS consumeraccess.org.
Elevate your driving with Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford. For a limited time, when you trade in a 2010 or newer Buick or GMC vehicle, receive up to 15% off the MSRP of a new 2024 GMC Sierra 1500. Offer valid on stock number 24489. Similar offers available for others. Must take delivery by July 31st, 2024. GMC, we are professional grade. Visit our showroom, Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford, or find us online at wilkinsoncars.com.
Capital Broadcasting Company and NC Beautiful award thousands of azaleas to nonprofit organizations throughout the state. If your organization would like free azaleas, visit us online at wral-gardens.com. Go to the Azalea Celebration tab and fill out an application form by August 31st. Let's keep our state looking clean and beautiful. eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Wait, she's posting pics with a dude in Mexico. We just broke up.
If Heineken Silver was a doom-scrolling ex-boyfriend, it would have all the feels. None of the new boyfriend jealousy.
She looks happy. I'm gonna message her. Hey, Stace, loved the super cute post with @RideRyan7. Enjoy Mexico and that ceviche spot from last year. Send pics.
Heineken Silver, world-class light beer. Only 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories. All the taste, no bitter endings. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we get to Hit It and Quit It, I want to let you all know golf's final major will be found on 99.9 The Fan. Listen all week long as we bring you to the Open Championship at Royal Troon. Coverage of the Open Championship on 99.9 The Fan is teed up by McConnell Golf with 16 top-ranked courses, the best private club, value from the mountains to the coast. Now let's jump into Hit It and Quit It. This is where we line up the biggest stories in sports. We line them up, we knock them down, we move on to the next. We call it Hit It and Quit It. We'll start with ACC kickoff, which, by the way, we will be at next week. Dennis and I for the Drive, as well as Victoria and Adam for the Adam Gold Show. We will be out there in Charlotte talking with the movers and shakers when it comes to the ACC football season. And we know who's going to be there for the teams in the Triangle. Graham, who do we have attending for the individual schools?
So I know you touched on this a little bit with North Carolina revealing, we're going against the typical saying where if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks at all. So we're going to talk about some of the other local teams, and we'll start with NC State. NC State will be bringing new transfer quarterback Grayson McCall, along with transfer running back Jordan Waters. Davin Van, Cary native, defensive lineman for NC State. He will be in attendance. So NC State will make three players, or will have three players representing them, all with two with North Carolina ties, and then, of course, Jordan Waters coming from Duke last season. So that'll be interesting.
Davin Van and Grayson McCall, I'm very little surprised. I'm a little surprised of Jordan Waters just because of transfer non-quarterbacks are usually not thrust into the leadership role right away, especially with 1 year of eligibility. But it probably speaks to Jordan Waters, right? It speaks to not only his ability, because if you're going to be a leader quick on a football team, you better be good, right? You better be showing out in practice. You better have the respect of the team in the weight room and those sort of things. But also just his. It's a show of confidence in him as a person, right? You're trusting him to go be the mouthpiece of your organization. By the way, we are expecting to have interviews on this show live with Davin Van and Jordan Waters out there at ACC kickoff. So we'll talk about going from Duke to NC State. We'll talk about with Davin Van what it's like to be on a defense replacing Peyton Wilson. There's a lot to get to.
Of course, the quarterback musical chair is going to continue in Charlotte next week with Connor Harrell and Max Johnson, the two quarterbacks from North Carolina, being in attendance. But you'll also have Clayton native, Amarian Hampton, running back from North Carolina in attendance, and that's just pretty obvious. I mean, with everything that he's probably one of the best running backs in the country, why would you not want to showcase him at ACC kickoff? And then Cameron Rucker, a rush for North Carolina as well, and then Power Echols, a linebacker for Carolina. So you'll have two defensive players representing the Tar Heels in Charlotte.
Cameron Rucker, I think, is one of the more underrated players, maybe in the country, definitely the ACC. He's somebody the UNC defensive front as a whole is not great at getting to the quarterback, but Kamen Rucker does generate pressures. He does generate quarterback hurries, and he's fairly versatile out there on the edge. So I'm a big fan of Kamen Rucker. Omarion Hampton, you mentioned it. I mean,
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, he's the 22nd best player in the video game that just came out.
Right.
He's the 22nd highest ranked player in the entire game, so all of the country. He's pretty good. And Power Eccles, that's a mark of confidence in him because he's replacing Cedric Gray, who's going to be playing in the NFL next year. So Eccles is really stepping into kind of that signal caller role on the defense, and I'm excited to see what he does. He's made some pop plays, some cool interceptions, some highlights. Right. Now it's can he do the Cedric Gray thing, which is just be in the right spot and making the right play every single play, game in and game out. That's what I'm looking for.
He was one of the star players last year for North Carolina defense. As you mentioned, you just didn't really see him that much because he was playing behind Cedric Gray. But I remember some of the games when I was covering Carolina last year. I think even maybe against Minnesota, he had a nice interception. He almost returned for a pick six. So, yeah, now it's time for Power Eccles to step up into the spotlight for that Carolina defense that's going to have a lot of questions going. Mm-hmm. Really, North Carolina just as a whole has a lot of questions going into this football season. I mentioned Duke. They're also going to bring their musical chairs of quarterbacks with them to ACC kickoff. Grayson Loftus and then Malik Murphy, transfer from Texas in attendance. They'll have Jordan Moore, the wide receiver, who, remember, was recruited by Duke originally to play quarterback, converted to wide receiver. And you'll have Justin Pickett, offensive lineman, in attendance for the Blue Devils as well. And I almost forgot about Jalen Stinson, a safety for the Blue Devils. Redshirt senior, has played in 49 career games, starting 31 of them, representing the Blue Devils.
The Duke's in a bit of a transition, right? It feels like Graham Barton, Dwayne McBride, Riley Leonard have been some kind of like core that was together for a long time. Jordan Waters at Duke, and now there's new faces popping up. I think Jordan Moore is a very good pick. Pickett, obviously, offensive line never gets their due, but I'm glad anytime an offensive lineman gets sent to a media day. I'm looking forward to talking with Duke about everything they have going on because new coach, new program, new coordinators, new kind of everything from Elko to Manny Diaz. And side note, we are expecting to talk with live on this show when we're out there in Charlotte with Manny Diaz. So I'm looking forward to that also.
And also just with this new identity that we're going to see in Duke, they have no rest for the weary. After their non-conference schedule, and they pretty much run a gauntlet in the ACC, welcoming North Carolina, going to NC State, welcoming Florida State at home. Do they go to Notre Dame? I can't remember if they go to Notre Dame or not. I just know they might have one of the toughest conference schedules in all of the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
Louisville, they go to Louisville. I think that's what I'm thinking of. Anyways, that's who's making up ACC Media Day.
Let's quit that. Let's hit this.
Duke football? Hell yes, it's Duke football.
Tiger Woods. Now, we're by the way, like with Tiger only playing majors, we only hear from him at majors, right? Because that's the only time the media availabilities are required. Turns out he sent an encouraging message to Rory McIlroy following the U.S. Open. U.S. Open here in Pinehurst, where Rory missed a couple of 3-footers down the stretch to lose the tournament to Bryson DeChambeau. Here's Tiger Woods on the encouragement to Rory.
As you know, I'm your friend. I know this is a difficult moment. We've all been there as champions. We all lose. Unfortunately, it just happened. The raw emotion of it, it's still there, and it's going to be there for, I'm sure, some time. And the faster he's able to get back on a horse and get back into contention like he did last week, the better it is for
him. The funny part of all this is Rory didn't get the message because Rory missed the putt, right?
Right.
Bryson DeChambeau makes the putt to win.
Skirted.
6 minutes later, Rory McIlroy is spinning tires in the parking lot to get out of there. He said by the time he got to like his rental house, this is at Pinehurst, right? So that it's not far. He had like 15 texts from different media members, and he thought, you know what? This is too much. I'm changing my phone number.
Yep.
He changed the phone number before Tiger could get his encouragement in. So he kind of accidentally ghosted Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
That's just a funny element of this. I think the cool element of it is Tiger's taken some ownership over being like the grandfather of the, and I'm not saying, derogatory. I'm saying like he's now willing to pass on information. There's nothing left, right? There's nothing for him to accomplish. So it's almost like he's taken passing down information as his next challenge. He's good friends with Justin Thomas. He's sending texts to Rory McIlroy. You go back 15 years, I'll be darned if Tiger wouldn't be giving bad advice. He'd be going like, no, you want to try to hook it around the tree. It's clear up there. And then it's just water. like he was a ruthless competitor. So it's kind of a cool new era of Tiger Woods.
It's also funny that Michael Jordan and Rafael Nadal were able to get their supportive messages to Rory McIlroy since they hit send right away. Tiger, I think, probably doing the right thing since he plays the game of golf.
Give
has
him a
the
minute,
experience.
let him cool down.
Wait a week, and then that's when Rory changed his phone number.
Give him a minute, let him cool down, which is fair, right? Biggest collapse of your career, a couple days to chill, probably earned. That is something. Let's quit that. Let's hit this.
You blew it!
Did you watch the MLB All-Star game over there, Graham?
Bits and pieces of it.
I think that's how we all kind of that's kind of how we all consumed it.
I watched it for the national anthem.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't. Who sang the national anthem?
And now I'm blanking on who sang the national anthem.
Because we know that the Home Run Derby national anthem was a show. This one's a little different. It was a good, solid, from everyone I've talked to, a good, solid All-Star game. The players cared. Shohei hit a home run. The thing that I think everybody was kind of hoping for was like a 10-pitch at-bat between Skeens and Judge.
Right.
And it ended up just kind of being a run-of-the-mill ground ball to third or whatever it was. The thing with baseball is the moments are going to be there. What happens, it's hard to get upset with, right? It's Skeens was on the mound, everybody's favorite pitcher right now. Aaron Judge was at the plate, everybody's favorite hitter right now, or unless it's Shohei. And the moment was there, and it just didn't necessarily live up to it. But you can't force those things. Other than that, the players played, right? There was a hit for Soto. I saw Ellie De La Cruz had a hit. There's good and bad, but it was I would say a run-of-the-mill All-Star game. Players cared though, which I think matters the most. Let's quit that. Let's hit this.
It's a new day. Yes, it is.
Major League Baseball draft wrapped up last night. What's the tally of the local guys, Graham?
So there was a total of 28 players from the state of North Carolina, both collegiately and high school, that were drafted overall in this year's draft. Some of the, of course, Carter Cunningham and Vance Honeycutt kind of being the big-name guys that got drafted right out of the gate for North Carolina. Of course, Chase Burns from Wake Forest, Trey Savage going in the top 20 for East Carolina. But some of the more local guys, notable local guys that were drafted late is ECU outfielder Jacob Jenkins-Cowart. He led ECU. He was one of ECU's leading hitters this past year. Then, of course, you had UNC's main guy out of the bullpen, pitcher Dalton Pence for North Carolina being drafted, and then NC State shortstop Brandon Butterworth being selected as well. I have right here in front of me, Jacob Jenkins-Cowart went to the Miami Marlins. Also, Ryan McChrystal, catcher for East Carolina. He was selected in the ninth round by the Cincinnati Reds. And once I'm able to locate where Dalton Pence went in the 11th round to the Texas Rangers. Brandon Butterworth went in the 12th round to the San Diego Padres.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The juniors drafted get to choose whether to come back for a year or not. And the high schoolers that are drafted get to either commit to 3 years of college or they can accept their Major League Baseball draft contract, whatever's negotiated. And usually those types of things are hinted at before the draft. So the higher you're drafted, the more confident a team is that you will join their club.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I like about college baseball is that either you go in, it's kind of like the NBA sometimes, it's perfect. Doesn't need to be touched. You either play 3 years of college ball or you roll the dice. And I'm not going to fault any high schooler that believes that they can, go ahead and take their career to the next level, get paid. They deserve it. But I just like the way that college baseball does it as far as they make you commit one way or the other.
I think it should be a requirement by the schools because I think it's weird that like the NBA or the NFL or whatever bars people from making money if the teams want them. But I love just as a fan where college baseball is like, yeah, you either You either go pro right out of high school, or if you're going to commit to college, it's at least 3 years. I just as a fan, I think it's great. You get to know players. You get to kind of develop storylines, which doesn't happen as much with the one and done era. Let's quit that. Let's hit this.
Put it down.
Former Duke All-American player Lindsey Harding agrees to a deal to become a Lakers assistant coach. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but Lindsey Harding was at Duke the same time J.J. Redick was at Duke, right?
Yeah, she was an All-American for the women's basketball team.
So everything about the NBA is becoming like just assemble your friends.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Knicks are assembling the entire Villanova basketball team from like 2018 with Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart. They're just assembling all of them. We know what LeBron has done as far as assembling his friends in every different team he goes to. The Celtics are keeping everybody together. They're all buddies. And then now even coaching staff. J.J. Redick's like, hey, me and Lindsey Harding used to ball out at Duke around the same time. We were a couple of All-Americans. We go way back. Let me bring her in to be on my coaching staff. By the way, she was the G League Coach of the Year. So she brings some bona fides from the coaching side as well.
Yep.
Not just as a player. So a little Duke connection out there in Hollywood.
The brotherhood. Well, the brotherhood
siblinghood.
and sisterhood. Yeah, the siblinghood making up the Los Angeles Lakers coaching staff.
All right, that's Hit and Quit It here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Now, at about 4:33, we do this every day. It's Storm Tracker time. Storm Tracker time. This is where we go to the latest news, the rumblings, the rumors, the ideas about the Canes offseason. And we should have a decent one today. What are we looking at, Graham?
As the ominous music fills your airways in your car. Good thing it's not stormy outside like the music would intend. But it still could be a stormy offseason as the Carolina Hurricanes prepare for arbitration hearings and new buyout periods. The good news is we know one player that's not going to be a part of these hearings, and that's going to be Jack Drewe, as he's been re-signed to a 2-year contract. But the question is, what are we going to do about Marty Necas? As it seems like that has been the continuous theme throughout this whole Carolina Hurricanes offseason.
Marty Necas and Seth Jarvis now.
Seth Jarvis as well.
Because he is still a restricted free agent. They don't have a long-term deal with him. They could offer a bridge deal. There's a few different options. But the Evgeny Kuznetsov decision, right? And for those of you that haven't been tuned in the past couple days, Evgeny Kuznetsov was due $3.9 million against the cap for the Canes this year because 50% of his salary was retained by Washington in the trade at the deadline. And by this year, I mean this upcoming year. He has elected to – he and the Canes have come to an agreement to terminate his contract. He was put on waivers today to terminate his contract with the intentions of terminating his contract so he can go play in Russia for SKA St. Petersburg. It's where he's from. He's going back home. We're expecting to see a 4-year deal there in Russia. The interesting part of that is getting that money off of the cap might allow the Canes – to go in a different route with Martin Necas, Jack Drewe, and Seth Jarvis. They now, I believe, have enough money under the cap to comfortably and fairly take care of each of those three. They've already worked the deal out with Jack Drewe. It's $1.725 million per year on a 2-year deal with a little bit more money in year 1 than year 2. That's great for the Canes. That does not eat up too much into the cap. You take care of that with just a part of the Kuzy money. Now you have Martin Necas. If you can take care of his contract pre-arbitration, you have a little bit more control, right? You can be, I believe, a little bit more fair, and you can set it up in a way that allows you to really be aggressive with Seth Jarvis. Prior to the Evgeny Kuznetsov money coming off the books, I think you're going to have to kind of be flexible and adaptable and maybe do some convincing of Seth Jarvis. Now, I don't think you hesitate to be like, you know what, let's throw in an extra $1 million, right? We're going to have the cap space next year. We now have it this year. Let's go ahead and throw an extra $1 million at Jarvis. Let's make him happy. Let's make Seth Jarvis be a part of the core. And it's now Jarvis, Aho, Svech, Jacob Slavin, And depending on how a few of the other young guys play this year, you might add in like a Pyotr Kochetkov or something. But that's now your core for the next 5, 6, 7 years.
Another question that might be brought up in all this, if the Hurricanes and Nature's reach arbitration, could it provide a contract that makes a trade partner comfortable for the shorter term?
Perhaps. And the Martin Necas side of things is, gosh, it's just moving every day, right? It started off with over half the league reached out for trade questions, right? That was one of the reports weeks ago. It was over 16 teams had reached out. Then it got all the way down to like maybe one. Then it got down to they can't afford, based on how their roster is constructed, they need goal scoring on the second line. Martin Necas is indispensable, right? If you look at what the way we talked about Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Martin Necas, like whatever, a month and a half ago, it was about where is Martin Necas going to go, and can you get anything for Jesperi Kotkaniemi?
Yep.
Would you buy out Jesperi Kotkaniemi? The way the roster is constructed now, I think those two guys are going to make up, a third of your top two lines, right? Those guys just became your second-line center and your second-line leading scorer. It became a very difficult situation. So Martin Necas, his leverage is going up. And we know he wants out, so he's not going to be afraid of arbitration, right? He'll take the money that he has to take for the next year or two, and I believe be comfortable hitting the open market. What I would caution Martin Necas against is assuming that everybody will be as accepting, because the way it's been explained to me, and I don't pretend to understand the NHL cap in its entirety. The thing is like written in another language. But the way it's been explained to me is the Canes, if they want to, can control Martin Necas for 2 more years, right? You can go to arbitration this year and get a 2-year deal, or you can do arbitration this year, play it out, and maybe go back to arbitration next year. Right now, Martin Necas, the value that we all assume he has on the trade market, the value that we all assume he has to other teams, there's a lot of potential baked into that value, right? He has a 70-point season. He has the speed that pops off film. So there's a lot of teams out there that are like, once he gets here, we can unlock his potential. You hear that a lot more about a 25-year-old than a 27 about to be 28-year-old. 2 years from now, he's going to be older, right? So work with the Canes to build your value. Work with the Canes to maybe get the contract secured, because right now you're a good player with the potential to be a great player. 2 years from now, you might be a good player that everybody just thinks you're going to be a good player. So be a little bit cautious of that, right? It's like a running back at 22. Everybody loves you. A running back at 24. Well, how many carries have you had? How many hits have you taken? It changes really, really quickly in professional sports, and it's hard to be the guy with potential when you are also the guy that is nearing the end of your 20s. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I'm inviting everybody to call up Capital Financial, my partners over at Capital Financial Advisory Group, and asking them to see their color-coded whiteboards. You may think, gosh, you are such a nerd if you think, you must be longing to be back in the quarterback room in college drawing up plays on a whiteboard. But I am inviting you to come see Coach Pete's giant 8-foot whiteboards at Capital Financial Advisory Group, because instead of drawing up plays, he wants to draw up your financial future so you can physically see your financial plan come to life with an easy-to-process design designed to remove the complexities and confusion that often comes with retirement planning. Coach breaks it down with 3 easy colors, red, yellow, and green, and it answers the questions you have, right? How are you going to guarantee my income all the way through retirement? How do I know you're maximizing my income? What are you doing? How much risk am I exposed to? Are there any costs and fees? Well, let's look at the board. That's how it is. So if you're curious to see for yourself or what it would be like for your retirement plan, give him a call, 800-691-3215, or text Tim to 600-700. If you let him know we sent you, you'll get hooked up with a copy of his best-selling book, one of his best-selling books, for free. So call 800-691-3215. Make sure they know you heard about it right here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly, or you can just text my name, Tim, to 600-700. That's TIM to 600-700. ESPN put out a list, going to our next topic here. ESPN put out a list of the X Factor players. One player on every top 25 team in college football. Their X Factor for NC State surprised me. I'll tell you who coming up next.
The Adam Gold Show.
While I'm watching Colombia-Uruguay, not only the end of that match, but the fight in the stands after it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Heard it got spicy.
A horrible, horrible look. But that was the most excited fans we have seen in 5 years at Bank of America Stadium. Man, look at all the happy people at Bank of America.
Just took the other kind of football.
Yeah, there you go. More of that.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Planning an engagement? Now's the time. It's Bailey's Fine Jewelry's spectacular Engagement Ring Blowout. 3 days only. Engagement rings, loose diamonds, and wedding bands. Up to 60% off. You'll be blown away by the huge selection of diamond sizes and engagement ring styles near cost, at cost, even below cost. Bailey's Engagement Ring Blowout. July 25th through 27th in Raleigh, Cary, Rocky Mount, and Greenville. Learn more at BaileyBox.com.
Picture this, the perfect summer barbecue. No stress, no responsibilities, just all your friends, burgers sizzling, hot dogs cooking, Pepsi Zero Sugar fizzing, and a backyard of very, very happy people. Oh yeah, we could get used to this. Very, very used to this. Grilling, better with Pepsi.
For a limited time, get 2 20-ounce Pepsis for only $4.25 at Refuel. So hurry in and enjoy an ice-cold Pepsi today.
North Carolina FC is a USL Championship soccer team competing right here in the Triangle. NCFC was founded in 2006 but continues to grow year after year, bringing fun and excitement for the whole family. I'm Victoria with 99.9 The Fan and was able to chat with some of the guys from the team, so let's meet one of the players now.
Hey there, everyone. This is Colin Martin.
What makes NCFC so special to you?
What makes NCFC to me special is that there is such a rich history. It's been a part of multiple different leagues at this point and has silverware to speak for itself last year. And yeah, I just want to be a part of something that has been in this community for a long time and try to make my own history with the club.
Do you have any kind of quirks or superstitions that you do maybe before a big game?
At the national anthem, I like to take a moment and close my eyes and think about my family and friends and think about why I'm out there and a little bit about what I want to do during the game.
Thanks, Colin. You can see for yourself these amazingly talented athletes at WakeMed Soccer Park in Cary, as well as check out all of their information and purchase tickets at NorthCarolinaFC.com.
Organize easy. Organize tough. Customize your work truck or van with upfit solutions from Van Products. Steel and aluminum shelving, toolboxes, data files, cabinets, drawers, conduit carriers, ladder racks, everything safe and secure. Everything built as unbreakable as you by Adrian Steel. Backed by the best warranty in the business. 3 years, 36,000 miles. Everything custom installed by Van Products so you know it's done right. From a single work rig to a fleet, choose custom installed upfit solutions from Van Products.
Adam Golden Studio with my man Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. When I say everything for the exterior of your home, I mean it. So tell me everything that you have for the exterior of my home.
There's so many things I can't even remember the entire list. You know,
Good luck.
Thanks for the test here. But windows, doors, siding, roofing, gutters, gutter guards, railings, you name it. We have the exterior home improvement you're looking for. The main thing is we're a one-stop shop, right? So you don't have to call 2 or 3 different contractors if you need your roof done and you need your windows done. You can call one company and have it all done.
I like that. French doors.
French doors.
I like French doors. I can't speak French, but I like French doors. Can I tell you, back in the day, you guys did French doors and every window in a home I used to own.
Well, thank you for your business.
It was incredible. Can I also tell you that it was done in like 2 days? Is that even possible?
It is possible.
How do you guys do work that fast?
We're good.
You're
We're
fast.
good.
That's Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. They do the best work in the industry and the best customer service in the industry as well. AluminumCompany.com.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Graham, I need a ruling. I need you to tell me if I should be insulted.
Okay.
Somebody on social media reached out to me and said,
That's never good.
Do you know, and there was a name there. I said, doesn't ring a bell. They said, I played with them in high school. They also went to Delaware. I said, oh, no, sorry, doesn't ring a bell. They wrote back, it would have been 1983, 84, and 85.
So they think you're Derek Whittenbird's age.
I was born in 91. Am I giving off vibes of somebody that is like 30 years older than I am?
Well, I mean, you were walking around the studio today with your shirt tucked into your shorts, which is giving off major dad vibes. But
Well, sometimes you just got to look a little crisp, I guess is what I'm getting after.
all that's missing is some plain white socks with nothing on them and some New Balances. And then, I mean,
if you can't rock New Balances, that's on you. New Balances are coming back. I have Nikes on today.
Okay.
I'm doing all right. Nikes. I do go ankle socks, which I've been told are not cool anymore. But here's the thing. I was not playing football in 1983. I wasn't born for almost another decade. Is that an insult or is that like an old soul thing? Like, do I take that to heart? Do I need to start like making cooler references? Should I start saying like the show was lit today?
Start trying to throw in the term ski.
Yeah, should I?
Every once in a while
means.
during your show.
I don't know, man. That's like, I think that might be before Rich Gannon played at Delaware.
I guess you just give off the vibes of, and I can't remember what movie it is, what show it is. I'm sure you will as soon as I set the picture of the actor who rolls up to the high school and he's like, "What's going on, my dudes?"
Oh, I actually don't know what movie that's from, but it's Steve Buscemi is the guy that's like, fellow youths.
Yeah, that's what it is, fellow youths.
I don't know. So the short answer was I did not know their friend, but
I don't know. Maybe that can be your numbers game question today.
Once a blue hen, always a blue hen. So your friend's all right in my book. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. ESPN put out a list of the X Factor players, right? Kind of the players that the season fell on. For all of the top 25 college football teams in America, NC State was one of them. I was very interested in this article because my first thought went to, we've done this. We've done who is the X Factor, who is the critical player about NC State. Let's see if we line up. Needless to say, we did not. They gave NC State Jordan Waters, the running back transfer from Duke. And with an open mind, I read it. I paid attention to it. Their reasoning is obvious.
Yeah.
The reasoning is the running game hasn't been good in recent years. Jordan Waters might be able to give it a kickstart. And the stats in the article are there. Last year, NC State had 4 running backs that got at least 25 carries, but none with more than 100. The team's leading rusher was quarterback Brennan Armstrong, and wide receiver Casey Concepcion was second on the team. Not great for your running backs. Wolfpack running backs haven't posted a top 50 yards per carry season since 2015.
Dave Doran's second season in Raleigh.
So, yeah, exactly. So Jordan Waters, they're saying the X factor is, can he make it a balanced offense? I'm going to say something that you're probably going to go, well, you're a former quarterback. Of course you think that way. I actually think this year the running game is less important. Grayson McCall has completed at his previous, 5-year career at Coastal Carolina, 70% of his career passes, 69.9% of his career passes. The short passing game with somebody that completes a high percentage of their passes can be the running game if you need it to be. Not to mention, you have a lot of mouths to feed in the pass catcher category. Casey Concepcion, Noah Rogers, Justin Jolie, Wesley Grimes, Terrell Anderson, Jonathan Paylor, a couple of freshmen. Yes, also maybe Jordan Waters, but my point is, don't force the run because you're like, we have to get a balanced offense. We haven't had a balanced offense.
We have to establish the run. We have to stop the run.
On first down, you get excited about a 4-yard carry, right? 2nd and 6, let's go. Well, Grayson McCall, you should be able to pretty consistently throw on first down and get 4 yards at least.
I mean, I know a lot of NC State fans, when the Wolfpack control, let's just say, a double-digit lead as small as 10 points going into halftime, they would rather NC State come out and keep their throat on their opponent's necks rather than just run up the middle, run up the middle, run up the middle, 3 and out, run up the middle, run up the middle, 3 and out.
Clock. But that becomes an issue where you're like, keep the clock moving, becomes an issue only if you're not completing passes, right? If you tell Grayson McCall, hey, come to the check down quick, find your guys, complete the pass, that's essentially a running game, right? That's essentially keeping the clock running, completing a pass completion for 8 yards and a run for 4 yards. As long as it's in the middle of the field, they both keep the clock running.
True.
Like, I don't want NC's, like, you spent, by the way, I assume, we don't have the exact numbers, I assume there was a good amount of NIL money spent on these wide receivers. Don't feel like you got to run it 30 times a game when you might be just as effective in the passing game. And the other thing I'll point out is don't be afraid to be creative. I'm going to say something that every every fan base gets really frustrated with. Jet sweeps can be a thing.
Yeah.
Right? Wide receiver screens can be a thing. Something like wide receiver screens are some of my favorite plays, right? Little smoke screen. If you just look over and see that a corner is playing off, catch, turn, throw. Wide receiver catches it. Even if the guy comes up and makes a good tackle, falls forward, 4 yards. Looks like a play that is not successful. If that were a running play, it would be successful.
I mean, for the early part of last season, that was essentially NC State's offense right there, where they knew all they had was KC Concepcion. Then once Brandon Armstrong came back and Robert Nye kind of opened up the playbook a little bit, you saw a lot more receivers and a lot more offensive players getting involved. But that did look like NC State's offense essentially for a majority of the non-conference part of the season last year.
If Jordan Waters isn't putting up massive rushing numbers, I don't think that's the worst-case scenario for NC State. Obviously, if you had to choose, you want the running game cooking. You want the new offensive lineman cooking. You want Jordan Waters to be running for 100 and some odd yards a game if you got to choose. And you're going to try to do that. But if I put that, to me, if the running game is working but the passing game isn't, that's a much bigger problem for NC State than vice versa.
Yeah.
Right? If Grayson McCall isn't doing what he was brought in to do, that's a much bigger problem for NC State than if Jordan Waters isn't doing what he was brought in to do.
I always love to ask a lot of NC State fans that I'm friends with, tell me the last time NC State had a true air raid offense. And we all come to the conclusion, 2018, 2019, Eli Drinkwitz still the offensive coordinator, Ryan Finley at quarterback, Kelvin Harmon, Emeka Emezi.
That's kind of near the end of a run where they just had a billion NFL quarterbacks in a row.
That's also true.
If Grayson McCall
and receivers too.
If Grayson McCall plays like guys that end up starting games in the NFL, I think they're going to be A-okay. But that's kind of what I'm saying, right? If that happens, I don't mind if you're not running for 6 yards a carry.
But to me, and kind of to agree with your point, this NC State roster, especially on offense, reminds me identically of that 2018-2019 roster that Coach Doran had when Eli Drinkwitz was the offensive coordinator and he had Ryan Finley at quarterback. I don't know if Grayson McCall is going to go on to play at the next level in the NFL. If you're a State fan,
Bengals,
you're hoping he is. Yeah, maybe he'll go to the Bengals or the Patriots. But we'll link up with some NC State quarterback that's in the league. But this is what this offense reminds me of. This is what this season reminds me of as far as just the expectations, because it was high last year when I remember the biggest game that they had, or when you knew this NC State team was legit, was when they beat Lamar Jackson at home in that Thursday night game.
That was a fun one. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have the starting five coming up next, including the latest on two pieces of breaking news from earlier today on the Carolina Hurricanes side of things. Stick around.
Hey, Dennis Cox here from my friends over at Loan Pronto. Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free. No credit cards, no car loan, no personal loan. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value is way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards. Get some money for the home improvement project. Literally hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. So call now, 919-381-1760, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Call 919-381-1760, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
Are you ready?
From 54, snap and hold are good. Kick is on the way, plenty of leg, and it is good!
Over the middle it goes, and he's got Puka Nacua to the 30, to the 20. No one's going to catch him.
Back to throw. Crosby off the edge, and he's got him back at the 23! Tua back to throw. Deep down the numbers on the left, and the Cheetahs got it! Touchdown!
The NFL kicks off August 1st on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Hungry for flavor and value? Then it's Bo time. Nothing slays the hunger beast like some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. And there's never been a better time to satisfy your Bojangles sandwich cravings than now. With Bojangles Summer Sandwich lineup, you can choose a flavorful Cajun fried chicken filet sandwich, or a tender Cajun grilled chicken filet sandwich, or a crispy Cajun filet club sandwich, or a tasty Bo's chicken sandwich. Make it a sandwich combo and add your choice of a side. Maybe Bojangles seasoned fries, dirty rice, or Cajun pintos. And to complete the perfect meal, Bojangles legendary iced tea. There's a Bojangles sandwich combo for everyone in the family. Summer just doesn't get any better than that. What are you waiting for? You know you're hungry, and you know you want flavor and value. So, it's Bojangles Sandwich Combo time.
Hot summer days mean time on the water. Let Sound Station and Security make your time even better with our custom boat options. At Sound Station and Security, our Raleigh marine experts can help you for everything with your boat, from the perfect audio system to lights to video. We do it all custom, and we do it all from scratch. You're unique. Your boat should be too. Make sure everyone knows where the best party is this summer on the lake with Sound Station and Security. With 2 locations, downtown Smithfield and on Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh. Online at myhotsound.com.
It's Lee Come Key.
Welcome back to the Lee Come Key request line. Ready for something with a kick that's still smooth? Talk about a hot time at dinner time.
Crisscross.
This is America's #1 spicy mayo and non-GMO verified sriracha. It's the Sriracha Slide coming at you from Lee Come Key.
Turn it out.
Sriracha Slide on over to srirachalove.com to check it out.
Sriracha real smooth.
We buy any car.
Why sell your car at WeBuyAnyCar.com? Because selling it yourself can be, well, you know.
Okay, I'll give you half now. And? No, and just half.
What? Avoid the hassle. Come to We Buy Any Car instead. Get in, get out, and get paid at a fair price.
Yeah, I can't do half. I could probably bump it up to like 50%.
Just go.
Okay.
Get your free online valuation now at
We buy any car.
College football season is right around the corner, and head coach Mac Brown and the Tar Heels want to see you in Kenan Stadium this fall. Don't miss out on exciting home matchups featuring in-state opponents, including NC State, Wake Forest, NC Central, and the home opener versus Charlotte on September 7th. All ticket options, including full season tickets, the customizable Tar Heel 2-pack, and individual game tickets are on sale now. For more information and to get your Carolina football tickets today, visit GoHeels.com.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI, and you don't need much training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
My name is Luis Fonsi. No one should face Alzheimer's or other dementias alone. Resources are available at alz.org and by calling the Alzheimer's Association's 24/7 free hotline at 800-272-3900.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
He scores! What a comeback!
Visit GotBryan.com. That's GotBryan.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike Mays. Some folks seeing some showers and storms this afternoon. They'll last into the evening hours, 75 the low. Active weather day tomorrow. We have a severe risk. We have a flooding risk. Showers and storms are likely. The high temperature about 91.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones closes the day up 243 points at 41,198. Market update brought to you by the Good Feet Store. Ready to step into a healthy and active lifestyle? Come to the Good Feet Store and experience the difference. Discover how a simple step can lead to a life of pain-free possibilities.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting five.
The starting five with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. By the way, tomorrow we start up next week. I want it to be tomorrow. Next week we start the college football season from ACC Football Kickoff. Adam Gold, as well as this show, The Drive, will be live in Charlotte with insight and interviews thanks to Wilkinson Chevrolet, Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford. We got a list of some of the interviews we are expecting to have next week, and I can just tell you, I'm excited for it. So I think you all should be as well. The starting five, as we jump into it now, we'll start with number 5. Two pieces of news breaking today on the Carolina Hurricanes. For those of you just getting in your car, if you're working the 9 to 5, I'll give you the two pieces in chronological order. At about noon today, it was revealed by the Carolina Hurricanes as a team that they were filing the paperwork to put Evgeny Kuznetsov on waivers with the intention to terminate his contract. That's an agreement between the player and the team to end his contract so he can go play in Russia for SK St. Petersburg is how it's all being perceived. Interesting deal, right? The moment that happens, the moment that all that becomes final and official, the Canes are going to get a decent amount of money back against the salary cap, right? Money that was being held by Kuzy's contract will now be available. You're looking at like $3.9 million. Immediately the question becomes, well, this move could be great or bad, right? Could be very, very good. Could be very, very bad. Could just be you lost a forward that could make some things happen. It becomes good if you take that $3.9 million in cap space and do something with it.
Yeah.
Right? So a few hours. What is 3? Is that a few? 3 hours later. What is it? 2 is a couple, 3 is a few, 4 is a bunch, 5 is a handful.
I've never tried to understand actually how you categorize all those, but now I know.
Maybe
right before we came on the air.
Maybe you will now.
Like we were out there throwing our frisbee like we usually do, and then I got the news from NHL Network.
A few hours later, about 3 o'clock, the news broke that Jack Drury of the Canes signed a 2-year agreement for an average annual value of $1.725 million, which keeps him out of arbitration this weekend, and it ties him to the Canes, obviously, officially, for another 2 years. That's great. That's what needs. That's like a direct effect. All right, we're gonna have a little bit of money from Evgeny Kuznetsov leaving. Let's take a small portion of that, come up a little bit on our offer to Jack Drury to get it done. That's what it feels like happened here, right? Let's give him another $50,000 a year, right? Doesn't have to be a ton, which obviously that's a lot to us, but it doesn't have to be a ton against the cap. It's just a little bit more that we didn't have elsewhere that we can now offer to Jack, Olive Branch, get that deal done, avoid arbitration, and we can turn our focus towards Martin Necas, who's also up for arbitration this weekend if they don't get a deal done, and Seth Jarvis, who you'd like to probably sign to a long-term deal.
I like the move because it feels like, once again, they're investing in one of their younger guys that will eventually make up their core of this team. And also, problem solved. You just figure out who's going to center your fourth line, so you just took care of your own problem.
Well, actually, I'm more worried about the second line than the fourth line.
That's also true. You need to roll out some guys behind Seth Jarvis, Svechnikov, and Aho.
I love the fourth line, right? I think they have the bottom 6 of their forwards are going to be awesome. If that bottom 6 has to be the middle 6, I'm going to be very, very nervous. So Jack Drury, I think, is one of the best fourth-line centers in the league. I think he would be a little overmatched as a second-line center, and we saw that at times. But I think he is one of the best fourth-line centers in the league. Now you have to, right? Kokiniemi, maybe if he plays like a second line center, it makes everything right. That might be my one fever dream wish. If you just told me Jesperi Kokiniemi was a top third of the league second line center, that might be like if I'm throwing a coin in a well for the Carolina Hurricanes. Because then Aho, obviously, very, very underrated superstar of a top line center. You'd have Kokiniemi as a top line second. Stahl, love what he does in his role as a third-line center. And Jack Drury is one of the best fourth-line centers in the league. Then suddenly, if you just tell me Kokiniemi goes above and beyond, suddenly a position that I'm very worried about becomes a position of strength.
And then you should have what every NHL team and every NHL fan base desperately wants is at least 1 to 2 automatic scorers on every single line.
I mean, yeah, automatic is probably a little generous, but yes, scoring threats on every line, which I'm here for. Again, aside from the Stahl line, but the Stahl line is really a defensive line anyway. That's number 5. Let's get to number 4.
We are the 4 horsemen. Woo!
Dabo Swinney took time out of his day to not make the most sense. Do we have that audio? Can you bring that back up? All right. Dabo Swinney was talking about college football expansion, which has gone from 4 teams in the college football playoff to 12 teams in the college football playoff. And Dabo has some words of warning.
You'll probably see some guys, if you're 4-4 and probably out of the playoffs, probably see some guys head off to Arizona and train. It's probably an unintended consequence. You'll probably see some situations where, like you see in the NFL, I mean, the Ravens are in the playoffs. They got it locked up, right? They got the bye or whatever, and, they got one more game that really means nothing. Right, because it's all about the playoffs. So, do you play Lamar in that game? And that's probably an unintended consequence in college. From a tradition standpoint, is, maybe you're 11-0, and you got that rivalry game, but you play your biggest foe next week in the conference championship, and if you win that game, you're going to get a bye. So those are things that'll probably decisions you'll see play out all throughout college football.
You're missing so much there, Dabo. The first thing I'll say is this. More teams were eliminated from college football playoff contention earlier in the season under a 4-team college football playoff than a 12-team college football playoff. So if a team is 4-4 and they'd give up with a 12-team playoff, why wouldn't the team that's 4-4 give up with a 4-team playoff or with a BCS-style 2-team playoff? It's the same logic, right? If a team is 4-4 and players are going, I'm just going to go train for the NFL draft, why would they be more incentivized to do that with a 12-team playoff than with a 4-team playoff?
A lot of those guys that leave to go train in Arizona, they know that their college career is essentially done. They know they're going to play at the NFL next year.
Yes, but that won't change year over year. Right, if that was going to happen, it would happen under the new scenario with a 12-team playoff or the old scenario with a 4-team playoff or the older scenario with the BCS decisions. That would just happen. Secondly, his argument about if a team is 11-0 and they have a rivalry game coming up, yet they know they get a bye if they win their conference championship. Few things on that. In what world would a conference championship get you a bye, but a win in the last game of the year not affect your seeding? Right? Just because you can get a bye next week doesn't mean you're not interested in being the number 1 seed this week. You still want to be the number 1 seed. You still care if you're the 1 or the 4. So, if North Carolina is undefeated going into the NC State game, and North Carolina knows if they win the ACC championship the next week that they will they'll have a bye in the first round of the college football playoff, they probably also know that if they lose to NC State, they have no shot at being a 1 or a 2 seed. So they got to go ahead and win that game as well. It's like you're missing the forest for the trees here, Dabo.
I'm glad you picked North Carolina that example, by the way. North Carolina fans are ecstatic right now. If they're
that was
undefeated.
Hypothetical. That's not a prediction.
But realistically, when you use North Carolina, I remember, the past couple of seasons, doesn't North Carolina tend to play? I know they've scheduled Mercer before. They've scheduled Campbell last season, like the second to last week before playing NC State. No offense to Mercer or Campbell, that's essentially their bye game right there. As far as by the third quarter, they're starting quarterbacks down. You're able to get your starters out of there and get, second-team guys some playing time. Second-team guys, I should say.
And I'll also add this to it. Not everyone sits players when in week 18. I got to get all my weeks straight now with the NFL. Like if you have the first seed locked up, not everybody sits players on week 18. That's up to the coaches. If you don't want to do it, don't do it, Dabo. Let somebody else make those mistakes if you don't believe it's right. Sometimes Dabo, I think, just goes up there like, I'm going to ruffle some feathers. And then he gets to talking. That's number 4. Let's get to number 3.
1, 2, 3.
We are 50 days from regular season NFL football. 50 days to Ravens-Chiefs.
Let's go.
5-0 till the Ravens and the Chiefs are playing meaningful football, till somebody is going to win or lose a fantasy match on Lamar or Patrick Mahomes having a big day, and it's going to happen right out the gate. Patrick Mahomes on not being satisfied with last season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the end result was awesome, but I think a lot of us still have a weird feeling in our mouth because we really didn't play the football the way we wanted to play all year long, and it wasn't fun. Every single week having to try to just continue to get better and better, and results not paying off the way you wanted to. It wasn't a lot of fun. We have a lot of those same guys back.
They are spoiled. They won a Super Bowl last year. It wasn't very fun. Well, it wasn't as crisp as the first 2 Super Bowls that we had won. So this one, didn't taste as good, and the champagne in the locker room was a little flat.
They were facing some adversity during that, I'm
not
going to say majority of the season, but for part of that season last year, there were people saying that the Kansas City Chiefs offense was like one of the worst offenses in the league. Out.
Travis Kelce was old. They missed Tyreek.
He's too wrapped up around Taylor Swift's finger.
And then they won back-to-back Super Bowls. If we're being honest here, everyone's chasing the Chiefs. And that includes our Carolina Panthers. Just because they're not right behind them doesn't mean they're not chasing them.
Hey, they no longer have the lowest odds to win the Super Bowl anymore.
I did see that. Patriots, thank you for being even worse.
We're now third from last.
And tied for second to last. At least that's what I saw earlier today. There's still so much to be done. So much to be done for the Carolina Panthers. And do you know what I am? I am a weird truther for the preseason. I think the preseason matters. I think joint practices matter. I think you can make up ground in the preseason. Preseason is a bigger deal than most give it credit for. I'm looking at the Panthers and thinking, there's going to be growing pains between Bryce Young and Deontay Johnson, and Bryce Young and Xavier Legette, and Bryce Young and Jatavian Sanders. And the more of those oh, my bad, I didn't know that's what you meant, you can get out. The more you can get those out of the way in the preseason, the better. I want those guys playing in the preseason. Right? Sometimes you see the Rams just don't play anybody, right? The Rams are starters, hoodies, baseball caps, bench. Not playing in the preseason. I think that's fine for a team like the Rams, who maybe has, or Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford could, play catch blindfolded. Puka Nacua obviously didn't need the preseason, but for a young team, a lot of new things, new coach, new schemes, new everything especially for the offense. I want them playing. And you want to know the dirty little secret about it for the Panthers? What if somebody gets hurt? Hate to say it, but then you go 5-12 rather than 6-11. Obviously you don't want Bryce Young to get hurt, and you don't want any of your young superstars to get hurt. But as long as it's not a career ender, all right. So you go 4 wins rather than 5. It's you're not passing up a Super Bowl contention like some other teams would think.
I know there's one Carolina Panthers fan page out there, and I can't remember who it was, but they have their early prediction of the schedule at 12-5 as the overall record for the Carolina Panthers.
They think they're going to win 12
this
games
season.
Hey, I hope you're right.
I hope they're right, but I think, not looking through rose-colored glasses.
That might be a little bit
you
of a
might
Homer
flip
fandom
it
take.
a little bit, and it might be 5
I
and
think
12.
if you win 6 games, it's a successful season.
What's the what was the over/under win total set at again?
I assume probably 5.5. 5.5.
I think it is 5.5. It's either 6.5.
Triple
or
your
5.5.
wins from last year. I think, and if your offense is middle of the pack, I think it's a good season. Six wins and then a middle of the pack offense. I think that's a win.
I keep saying I know it's low standards, but anything's better than 2 wins.
Yeah, I think you can demand steps up. Doesn't have to, like 3 wins still doesn't sound successful, but 6 and a better offense, I'm with it. That's number 3. Let's get to number 2.
Just the two of us.
An article yesterday from Action Network, Brett McMurphy, may have, I don't know if it's intentional, probably unintentionally, told Clemson and Florida State to wreak havoc on the ACC. The article said, specifically Florida State, not really attractive to the Big Ten and the SEC because they have been a problem child for the ACC. Why would you welcome that into your conference? So they may not be wanted. And they don't bring a new market, and they don't bring, it's just the money might not be as good for the conference as it would be for the team and all these other things. Which is fair, right? Like, just because Florida State wants out of the ACC doesn't mean the Big Ten or the SEC has to want them back. Like, it doesn't, you can go hit on whoever you want. Doesn't mean they're going to accept your advances. But the article also said maybe the one way, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, so don't quote me exactly, but the basic gist of it was the one way that Florida State and Clemson could be welcomed to the Big Ten or the SEC is if the ACC, meaning the Atlantic Coast Conference, ceased to exist. Because if that happens, there's going to be a bit of a land grab, right? The ACC disintegrates. The SEC and the Big Ten don't want everybody to just go to the Big 12, and suddenly you have this 30-team super conference in the Big 12 that they're against, so they'd have to play a little defense and take on 4 or 5 teams each, which Clemson or Florida State would be one of. I say all of that to say this. That sounds like you're motivating Clemson and Florida State to try to, from the inside, destroy the ACC. The only way Florida State and Clemson can achieve their dreams of playing in the SEC or the Big Ten is to completely and totally annihilate the ACC. That doesn't seem fun. That doesn't seem nice. I don't want that to be their motivation. I don't want that to be their end goal. I want their end goal to be play such good football that other teams want them. Right. I want their end goal to be win national championships from the ACC. I want their end goal to be something that isn't quite as diabolical, because it seems like they're one step away from going full Kevin McAllister in Home Alone and putting marbles on the ground for everyone else in the ACC to walk on and fall and make fun of them just so they hate them so much that the ACC disintegrates.
Or Jerry Maguire. Who's coming with me?
That's the other word. And we talked about this earlier. They may go with the ACC needs to, like a Braveheart speech and see who runs out into the middle of the field with them. William Wallace. That's number 2. Let's get to number 1.
Go one!
By the way, we'll be talking. I just want to add to this, that thing we were just talking about with Florida State and Clemson. We'll be talking with everyone from ACC Football Kickoff next week, as both this show and the Adam Gold Show will be live in Charlotte with insights and interviews from ACC Football Kickoff, thanks to Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford. Now for number 1. The behind the scenes that we keep getting from the NFL offseason, Hard Knocks, every team seems to have Hard Knocks with the Giants. Every team seems to have their own YouTube behind the scenes series of their draft and free agency and everything. The more and more we see about the Brian Burns trade, that the Panthers sent Brian Burns to the Giants for 2 second-round picks and a smish-smash of late-round picks, the more and more I can't help but think the Panthers could have gotten a significant amount more from the Giants. The more and more I think the Giants in their heart of hearts is like, I would have given up a first and a second. I would have given up way more. I would have given up that 7th-round pick Dan Morgan wanted. The latest edition of Hard Knocks, the Giants offseason behind-the-scenes edition, showed the Panthers putting the Giants on the ropes. Right? The Giants talked about this Brian Burns trade. They wanted Brian Burns. You could tell they wanted Brian Burns. That's the part I think that needs to be emphasized here. When Joe Schoen, the GM of the Giants, talked about Brian Burns, whether with Dan Morgan or over the phone or internally, he smiled, right? He asked more questions. He was interested, right? It's all of those, like, how do you know if someone's interested in you memes, right? It's like they're looking at you, they're laughing at your jokes, they're touching your arm, whatever it is. Like, he was doing all of that, the football version of when Brian Burns was talked about. And they talked about what the compensation might be in a trade, and then the Panthers pulled off a genius move. Genius. They went radio silent for 7 hours, leaving the Giants to wonder, are they going to trade him to someone else? Leaving the Giants to wonder, are they having cold feet? Are they going to keep him? Leaving the Giants to wonder, have they talked to Brian Burns? Have the situation changed? Leaving the Giants to wonder and wonder and wonder. And you could tell, again, behind the scenes, so we have a little bit 20/20 hindsight here. The Panthers don't have like a security ring camera in the Giants facility, so they don't know how upset and vulnerable the Giants were, but you got to feel it. The Giants wanted Brian Burns, and those 7 hours were agonizing. And while those 7 hours were taking place, other edge rushers, they were signing with other teams, right? They were fulfilling their obligations of the offseason. So the Giants' options on who to bring in to be a better edge rusher were lowering and lowering and lowering, which meant the Panthers' leverage was building and building and building until finally Dan Morgan called up Joe Schoen. And Joe Schoen answered, and he called him Buddy, and he called him Daniel Thomas Morgan, and they kibitzed. And then Joe Schoen acknowledged that Dan Morgan was trying to squeeze one more thing out of him, trying to get one more 7th-round pick, the lowest of the low, right? Just throw in a 7th-rounder. That's nothing. Panthers couldn't even get that. Joe Schoen said no on his face, just quick, no. Panthers didn't realize how on the ropes the Giants had him, or how on the ropes they had the Giants.
Then all of a sudden the momentum just flipped.
Dan Morgan should have said, all right, man, I'm just asking for a 7th. That's nothing. If that's going to do you in, never mind.
Click.
Move the phone to hang up. Wait for the wait, because I guarantee you it would have come.
Daniel, come back.
Whoa, Daniel. A 7th will get it done. Fine. I actually think Dan Morgan missed an opportunity by not asking for much more than a 7th. Right? Ask for a swap from 3rd to 4th, right? Just pick swaps. Ask for a 5th-rounder next year. Ask for something more because you had him. You had him. And you know it, right? Anytime you're in a negotiation, you can tell when, like, if you're selling a house, even if you're just interacting like through realtors, you can tell when the people buying the house have already imagined like where they would put their couch, right? They've already imagined like which room is going to be the kids' room. They're already living in it in their brain. Get a little something extra, right? That's when you do it. Be cold-blooded, Dan Morgan. Be the fierce competitor we saw on the field for all those years with Carolina. Or just don't let us see behind the scenes so we don't know that all this was possible. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have the numbers game coming up next, and the winner of the numbers game will get a pair of tickets to see the Help From My Friends Tour. Help From My Friends Tour. In summer 2024 with Switchfoot, Blue October, and Matt Nathanson. They're coming to Red Hat Amphitheater on July 25th. If you want to win the tickets, you got to play the numbers game. If you want to play the numbers game, you got to call in now. We need 2 contestants. 919-860-5326. I'll say that again. 919-860-5326. Numbers game coming up next.
Hi.
Hi, this is Renee Chu. The most trusted local news in the Triangle is now on the radio. WRL News Plus. Now get breaking news and severe weather reports on the radio 24 hours a day. Listen on the radio at 96.5 FM in Durham, 99.3 FM in Raleigh, and everywhere in the Triangle at 101.5 HD3.
Tim Donnelly here from my friends at Zero Res. And if you're like me, you love to DIY, right? Do it yourself. Save the money. I can tell you from experience, they Zero Resified my house, and you can't get it this clean by yourself with the carpet soaking machines or anything else you can rent. Go ahead, give them a call now, 919-995-0000, and ask for the station special. That's the $99.9 The Fan special. Get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $109 and get a free hallway done on top of that.
Planning an engagement? Now's the time. It's Bailey's Fine Jewelry's spectacular engagement ring blowout. 3 days only. Engagement rings, loose diamonds, and wedding bands. Up to 60% off. You'll be blown away by the huge selection of diamond sizes and engagement ring styles near cost, at cost, even below cost. Bailey's Engagement Ring Blowout. July 25th through 27th in Raleigh, Cary, Rocky Mount, and Greenville. Learn more at BaileyBox.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month. A savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-865-2266. That's 1-800-865-2266. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-865-2266. That's 1-800-865-2266.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
That'll be 30 even.
That's 90 points! Sorry, that was a lot. Now that I'm getting 3 times the points on food and fuel with the Navy Federal More Rewards American Express card, I get a little too hyped sometimes.
Cool. Would you like your receipt?
In the bag! Sorry, in the bag, please. Learn more about the everyday, everywhere Navy Federal More Rewards American Express card at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Bobby Joe absolutely hated her job.
Can't hate that job any more than I do.
So, time for one of those fancy tech schools?
No, I could never afford that. I'm going to Sharky's.
Sharky's?
Yeah, no better place to relax. Great food, cold beer, good whiskey, darts, billiards.
So now you love your job?
No, I still hate my job, but I loves me some Sharky's. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, everybody loves Sharky's. Sharky's Place, one of the best neighborhood bars in the world. 5800 Durley Road by the Shell Station.
On average, people spend over a third of their life sleeping, yet most sleep disorders go undiagnosed.
I'm Megan Gigling, General Manager of Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Sleep struggles left untreated can lead to health problems and have a serious effect on your quality of life. We've served the Triangle for 20 years. Let us help you get the sleep you've been dreaming of.
If you're in need of a sleep study, a knowledgeable doctor, CPAP machine, or supplies, Parkway has you covered. For more information or to schedule an appointment, visit parkwaysleep.com. Sound sleep, sound health.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. What do we have? We have Chad and we have Bear on the line. I like that. Bear from Clayton on line number 2. It's time for the numbers game, part of the show where I get to pretend I am a game show host. Help from My Friends Tour tickets are on the line. That's the Help from My Friends Tour, Summer 2024, with Switchfoot, Blue October, and Matt Nathanson. And they are coming to Red Hat Amphitheater on July 25th. We do this occasionally when Graham is producing the show. We let him be the judge to see who gets to go first. And it's usually something music-related. So, because he's an old soul when it comes to music. So, we'll start with Chad. Chad, if you had to give yourself a theme song, what would it be?
I would say "Party Like a Rock Star."
All right, I like that. Party like a rock. I don't hate that move at all. Chad, that is your entry. You got that one, Graham? All right, you're in. It's in the books. All right, we go to Bear and Clayton. Bear, what is your theme song? If you had to pick one, excuse me.
Tough question, but maybe I'll go "Bow at the Bar," Kid Rock.
Wow, both are good. Chad, just answer me this. Is it Party Like a Rock Star by Jeezy, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. Then, we're going to go with Chad here.
All right. You just wanted to do that, didn't you?
I did.
All right, that works.
Good answer, though, Bear.
Yeah, Bear, don't worry. You'll have your chance to play the game as well. You'll go second. Chad, you get to go first, so when you are ready, go ahead and pick your category out of these categories. NFL, we balled in Illinois. These are all players that played their college ball somewhere in the state of Illinois. NFL, the Brady Men. These are all players whose first names are one of the Brady Bunch first names. NBA current players only, and NHL Canes and Whalers only.
Let me go with NFL of Illinois. I got 4 right last time.
All right.
And I got defeated, so I got to get my revenge back.
Having 4 and losing is a tough one. I'll just let you know that. So good luck. Just get 5. I guess that's the only thing I can say, right? Get 5. I'll give you the team and the player. You already know. You've played this, but I'll explain it anyway. I'll give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. There'll be 30 seconds on the clock. You have 1 pass if you need it. Any questions before we get started?
Let's rock.
Let's rock. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Jimmy Garoppolo, San Francisco 49ers.
10.
Correct. Brandon Jacobs, New York Giants.
27.
Correct. Simeon Rice, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
18.
Incorrect. Michael Turner, Atlanta Falcons.
33.
Correct. Kevin Hardy, Jacksonville Jaguars.
97.
Incorrect. Simeon Rice, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
97.
Correct. Kevin Hardy, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Pass.
That's all we got. Kevin Hardy, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Kevin Hardy, 92.
51 was the answer for Kevin Hardy. But you matched your score from the last time. You got 4, so you're good at this. I'm just gonna give you a compliment.
You got even.
4 is a very good score, and to do it multiple times means you know what you're doing. You got Garoppolo with 10. We would have accepted for Brandon Jacobs either 27 or 34. By the way, Garoppolo went to Eastern Illinois. Brandon Jacobs went to Southern Illinois. Simeon Rice, number 97, went to just Illinois. Michael Turner, the Atlanta Falcons, number 33, went to Northern Illinois. And Kevin Hardy of Jacksonville, who you missed on, but wears number 51, went to the Fighting Illini of Illinois. 4 is the number to beat. Go ahead and sit on the line. We'll see if it holds up. And that brings us to Bear. Bear, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, the categories remaining for you are NFL, the Brady Men. These are all players who share a first name with one of the Brady Bunch. NBA, current players only, or NHL, Canes and Whalers only?
NBA, current players.
All right, these are all NBA players in the league currently. I will give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. There'll be 30 seconds on the clock. You have 1 pass if you need it. Any questions before we get started?
No.
All right, your time will start when you hear the horn. Karl Anthony Towns, Minnesota Timberwolves.
32.
Correct. Jared Allen, Cleveland Cavaliers.
0.
Jarrett Allen, Cleveland Cavaliers.
0.
Oh, 0. Incorrect. Miles Bridges, Charlotte Hornets.
33.
Incorrect. Jared Allen, Cleveland Cavaliers.
1.
Incorrect. Miles Bridges, Charlotte Hornets.
Pass.
Bohan Bogdanovic. I'm sorry on that one. You said 0. I thought you said Gerald with a question mark, so I thought you misheard the first name. But either way, you got one. You got Karl Anthony Towns quick out the gate with number 32. Jarrett Allen with Cleveland wears number 31. And Miles Bridges with the Hornets wears number 0. So you said 0 for Allen, but not for Bridges. You would have got it with Bridges, not with Allen. And then I did say Bogdanovic right at the end there. He wore number 44, but you didn't have a chance to answer that question. We appreciate you for playing. Hopefully you had a good time, but unfortunately it's not enough for the win.
All right, thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Chad, you are the winner. Congratulations.
Let's go.
There you go.
500.
Exactly. You're batting 500. You got 4 both times. Your average is 4. In 30 days, when you call back in to try again, let's go for 5, all right?
All right, let's get it.
All right. Sit on the line. Graham has some info he needs to get from you to make sure you get your tickets. And those tickets are to the Help from My Friends Tour, Summer 2024, with Switchfoot, Blue October, and Matt Nathanson coming to Red Hat Amphitheater on July 25th. Shout out to former Wake Forest basketball player Alondis Williams. Williams with a bananas dunk in the NBA Summer League. He is playing for the Miami Summer League, and somebody on Dallas that jumped with him to try to block the shot is going to regret doing so. Williams with one of the more crazy dunks that I've seen in a Summer League game. So credit to him. Want to give a shout-out to the Wake Forest Demon Deacons for one of their former players getting it done. That's one way to put it right. The other thing I want to do is remind you that golf's final major will be found on 99.9 The Fan. Listen all week long as we bring you to the Open Championship at Royal Troon. Coverage of the Open Championship on 99.9 The Fan is teed up by McConnell Golf. With 16 top-ranked courses, the best private club value from the mountains to the coast. So you can hear that right here on 99.9 The Fan. When we come back, I'm going to give you my picks, right? Because the Open Championship over there at Royal Troon is played in the wee hours of the morning East Coast time. So by the time our show kicks off tomorrow, we will be past the time of making picks. So we're going to make our picks for the Open Championship coming up next. Stick around.
The Adam Gold Show.
While I'm watching Colombia-Uruguay, not only the end of that match, but the fight in the stands after it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Heard it got spicy.
A horrible, horrible look. But that was the most excited fans we have seen in 5 years at Bank of America Stadium. Man, look at all the happy people at Bank of America.
Just took the other kind of football.
Yeah, there you go. More of that.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
You're not going to want to miss this. Diamonds Direct summer sale starts this weekend. For 3 days only, this Friday through Sunday, get 20% off rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, and more. Plus, book an appointment and get an additional $100 off. And designers are flying in from New York and LA to showcase their latest trends. That's 20% off, plus $100 off with an appointment and designer trunk shows. Tons of engagement rings on sale, too. 20% off starts Friday. Details at diamondsdirect.com. 3 days only. And Sunday.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free from credit cards, car loan, and personal loans. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value is way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards. Get some money for a home improvement. Literally hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. Call now, 919-381-1760, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com, 919-381-1760, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
An orthopedic surgeon makes understanding pain painless.
It's the biggest frustration that patients have.
This is Dr. Pamela Mehta, talking about aches with unexpected origins.
I see patients with pain in their knees, their hips, their back. Oftentimes, the pain is actually coming from their feet.
Bet they aren't expecting to hear that.
Those patients are super surprised. They can't believe that the pain in their knee isn't coming from actually inside the knee. But if you think about it, the feet are the base to your whole body.
That's why she suggests personally fit arch supports. Emphasis on the personal fit.
If you get something basing it just on your shoe size, it isn't going to fit you properly.
And if it doesn't fit well, it probably won't work well.
Go get arch supports fitted to you. It's as easy as going into a Good Feet store.
The Good Feet store is in Raleigh, Chapel Hill, Fayetteville, and other locations across North Carolina. Visit goodfeet.com to book your appointment today or just stop by.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TURN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Your new Total Wine & More in Apex has the largest selection of wines and beers, plus totally low prices and friendly service from our helpful guides. With over 8,000 wines and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order delivery, in-store, or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find, only at Total Wine & More. Now open in Apex at Beaver Creek Crossings, next to TJ Maxx. Drink responsibly. B21.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I saw a joke online the other day that said the best part about high school football is listening to something like Put On From My City and then going out and getting beat by 40. You're in the locker room like, I put on for my city, and then you walk out there and you're just up against a team that's better than you and you lose by 100. I feel like that one was one of my high schools where it's like, party like a rock, party like, and then all you did was go over to your friends and play Madden. But you were like, it's Friday, party like a rock, party like a rock star.
Well, now I can listen to this as we play it out at the end of the show and then go home and play EA College Sports 25.
Exactly, yeah. And when I was in high school, you could have played the old NCAA football. Again, it's an age thing.
Have you gotten a chance to play the game yet?
I have not. I don't have a system. I
went
don't
over to
have a game system.
I went over to my friend's house last night to play for the first time since he pre-ordered it, and was not expecting to win 47-21.
Look at you, humble brag.
My friend was even like, "What is happening?" He was like, "How are you this good?" I was like, "I've just been excited to play this game."
So what's your scouting report? How's the game? This is, by the way, for everybody, College Football 25 came out, was it yesterday?
Yes.
Yesterday. It was a big deal. The game hasn't been in production for 10 years, and players are now getting paid to be in it. It's a whole thing. And I think they had 700,000 people playing it like the same time yesterday, which is just an unheard of amount of money because it was $100 or something to pre-order. So you're looking at a bunch of money. So what are you? What's the scouting report on the game?
My biggest takeaways. Sorry, Watson. There's no defense in the game.
It's hard to play defense.
It's hard to play defense. Offense.
What team did you pick?
I played with Michigan State. I did three randoms. My buddy went with NC State just because he's an NC State grad. He's doing it.
You washed NC State with Michigan State. Is that what you said? What a heck of a start. Half our listeners hate you right now.
And then the second game, it was
couldn't wait to play this game and just mollywop NC State with some random Big Ten school. What a great move from our very own
at Carter Finley
Graham
Stadium.
Hill.
Whoops. I just want to see how electric the stadium pulse was at Carter Finley Stadium.
Love seeing that green up and down the field.
And then my second game, ACC matchup, Duke versus Syracuse, where I did lose that game.
Were you Duke or Syracuse?
I was Duke, lost 35. So, yeah.
So you're really not.
A lot of local teams just are really hate me right now.
No, actually, UNC fans love you.
UNC fans love me. State fans, Duke fans hate me, which a lot of State fans think I'm a Carolina fan anyways. But anyways, the third game, it was an Iowa State versus Nebraska matchup.
Okay.
Duke's Mayo Bowl in Charlotte.
39-38
final. Game-winning drive by yours truly. So, and really, I don't know if it's just me. If you play every game, if you play every drive like it's a 2-minute offense, it's very easy to score.
Okay, but how like the players,
the jukes and the moves with your joystick to me is very similar to Madden.
And it looked really real and all that, and like you were playing with real college players, which seems kind of crazy.
Finally the fourth game was my friend and his brother. They played, and it was just as entertaining to sit back and watch two people play as it was to play the game.
Well, let me ask you this then, because Duke is bringing 2 quarterbacks to ACC kickoff. So in the game, who's the starting quarterback?
Malik Murphy.
Malik Murphy was out there first. Think they got tipped off? Think that's an insider scoop?
Is it bad that I threw 5 interceptions with Malik Murphy in that game?
And you never thought to go to Grayson Loftus. You never thought to go to the bench, go to the bullpen, bring out the youngster.
Give me a lefty.
Give me a lefty specialist. Face the heart of the lineup. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That was talking video games with our producer Graham Hill. I need to do that. I need to find somebody that I can play the game because does it fit on my N64? Probably not, right?
No.
No?
I don't think you have enough gigabytes.
I'll stick to Mario Kart. The Open Championship, the British Open, starts tomorrow, but kind of tonight. It starts at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Played in Scotland, Royal Troon. So I'm big on receipts. I'm big on accountability. So I want to get my opinions, my predictions out there right now. My big bold prediction, right, and this is from Bold Predictions last week. I think Rory McIlroy has a chance to win it all. He collapsed in a big way in the last major at the U.S. Open here at Pinehurst in North Carolina. I think he has a chance to kind of go full University of Virginia, where you lose to UMBC and you're the first number 1 seed to ever lose to a 16 seed, and everyone, oh my gosh, it was so terrible. Then they won the national championship the next year.
Well, the odd makers certainly agree with you, just because on a lot of sportsbook they give McIlroy the second best odds to win the tournament.
I think he can do it, and he looked kind of carefree in the Scottish Open. I just have a weird thought on that one, weird vibe, and I don't like picking against my weird vibes. We do have some audio here from Rory on shaking off that heartbreaking, horrendous, unbelievable loss at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, it's good. Game's in really good shape. Had a nice reset after Pinehurst that was needed, and felt like I, shook off a little bit of the rust last week and played okay. Felt like I probably could have given myself more of a chance to win the tournament, but thought it was a solid week. And again, it's like one eye on preparing for this week, but another eye on trying to get into contention as well. But overall, I've been in the UK now for a couple of weeks, and it's felt nice to get back over here and get back into the swing of things.
So that's one of my bolder predictions, is that Rory is not ruined by his Pinehurst experience and instead catapults him to winning his first major in over a decade.
I mean, it just feels like he's due
for
his big break. I mean, that's the $1 million question you can ask yourself. Could it finally be the breakthrough major tournament that Rory McIlroy has been hoping for to reclaim his past glory?
My state of my base prediction is Colin Morikawa. I think he's playing some underrated, really good golf right now. He won the Open his first time playing links golf. That's got to be worth something. That's got to be worth some kind of confidence in these situations. So give me Colin Morikawa to win the whole thing. And then there's long shots. But these should not be long shots, right? I love when everybody swings too aggressively against good players. These 3 names are all plus 6,000 to win the Open.
Okay, I'm curious to see who you're going to say.
Justin Thomas.
Okay.
Matt Fitzpatrick. And Wyndham Clark. These are all major winners These are all guys that have grinded through tough conditions. Matt Fitzpatrick is a European, so he's over in home kind of over there. Justin Thomas is one of the best golfers in the world, and I know that for different reasons they're negated based on maybe current form or how they've played the last year or so. But when you can get a just legit top-end golf talent at a long number like that, hard for me to pass on it, right? Because you know either any of those three guys, if they play their best golf or if the conditions break their way, they can win the tournament, right? Most plus 6,000 golfers are like old guys or is unproven. Give me those three in just a value play at any point in time.
Can I give you two that I think are intriguing wagers? And
love it.
They're kind of like Rory McIlroy. They've been unable to rise to the top during high-pressure major championship moments. Tommy Fleetwood and Tony Finau.
I love me some big game Tony.
Neither of whom have won a major in their careers. Fleetwood especially has taken a similar path to McIlroy, was the runner-up at the Open in 2019 behind Shane Lowry.
Fun fact about Tommy Fleetwood, he's never won a PGA event, let alone a major.
Really?
He's won on the European Tour. He's won on the DP Tour. He's won a bunch of other stuff. He's never won a PGA event. And he's been like a top 10 golfer on the year, like a few different years.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. He was the runner-up to Brooks as well in the 2018 U.S. Open. The English professional golfer knows this course really well.
Great hair.
Great hair as well.
He's a TaylorMade guy too, so he interacts with, Tiger and Rory and all those guys quite a bit.
He also, I think, has his cat. I can't remember his caddy's name. He has his caddy coming back this week, which should help him. And that factor.
Now we're getting into real golf nerd stuff. The caddies are available.
Exactly. That factor combined with home soil advantages, I'm calling it, and a strong play as of late, as you mentioned, top 20 in 5 of his last 7. It makes him an intriguing pick for me. I don't know about the rest of our listeners, but Tommy Fleetwood's a guy that I'm looking out for this weekend.
If you want to root for a local guy, meaning a local guy around here, at least a local resident, Akshay Bhatia is in the field. He is an unbelievably talented young 20s guy that's won a couple times in the last year or so, but he's looking for that big break in a major. Could be, right? He's a long shot. Don't get me wrong. Don't think I'm like, hey, you should definitely pick him. He's a long shot, but he's a local guy, so we'll be rooting for him. And then, of course, there's Eldrick Tiger Woods. Make the cut. Eldrick Tiger Woods to make the cut. I'm picking it. I think links golf is good for him because it's not as tiring to walk around and it won't put as much stress on his leg. He does need to stay out of the awkward bunkers. Crazy part is the 2000 Masters that he won, I believe at St. Andrews. He went the entire week without going into any bunkers. Never was in a bunker. I think just because awkward stances and everything can kind of aggravate old injuries. I'm looking for Tiger to avoid bunkers, especially the pop bunkers, at all costs. And if he does that, I think he can make the cut and beyond there. I'll also say this about Tiger. I say this every time he plays. If he's ever in contention again, fingers crossed as a fan that he is, but if he is, everyone is going to be, it's going to be one of the few like uniting things in the golf world. Everybody's going to be jacked up. Everyone's going to be excited. Everyone's going to want to watch. Do you really want to be the one who's like, I bet against him, so I'm going to be mad and be sour over in the corner? Nobody wants that. So don't bet on him or bet for him. That's my piece of advice. Overdrive on the 99.9 The Fan. Overdrive on 99.9 The Fan is coming up next right here. We're going to start off with the news from the Canes earlier today. Both Evgeny Kuznetsov being waived and Jack Drury signing a 2-year contract. So those conversations from earlier are coming up next on Overdrive. Until tomorrow, everybody, have a great day. Thank you to Graham for keeping us up and running. And thank you. It's been 1 year of the drive on 99.9 The Fan. I appreciate you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.
Move your sports day forward.
This is not summer vacation. If you're out there reading as much as you possibly